Finally, we are here with the most awaited revision video in English for CA Final Audit, that is professional ethics. In this video, we are going to cover professional ethics in much detailed and crisp way. We are going to cover 100% tricky points, all the nuances, all the minute points which we as a student tend to skip when we are studying this chapter normally. And after this video, you don't need to watch any other video, because this video will cover everything. All your 20 marks from the professional ethics will be guaranteed from this video. Please like this video in advance to make your attendance, and also comment down CA with your name so that you make a manifestation that you are definitely going to clear your CA final audit exams in your next attempt. And also, obviously, I do need your support in these English revision videos, so please do share it with your friends if you like them. So let's start with our biggest chapter for CA final audit, and the most important chapter, yet the easiest chapter I would say of CA final audit, that is professional ethics. Okay, so first of all, we talk about the ICAI's motto, which is Ya Esha Supteshu Jagriti, that is adopted from Kathopanishad, which signifies eternal vigilance, which means in simpler terms that we have to be awakened when the world is asleep. Now don't consider it literally that we have to become an owl and we have to just wake up at night. It's not like that. It's meant that we have to see those things which are not seen by normal people in their daily lives. This is the real meaning of Ya Esha Supteshu Jagriti. This can come in MCQ. Everything will be covered. I will tell you from where MCQs can be framed, from where descriptive questions will be framed, and what all things we have to remember, what all things we have to write. And also I will tell you how we have to memorize the clause numbers of the schedules and the parts, because that is more important. That carries marks. I will tell you what carries marks and what not carries marks, because I have done 3 times your 500 plus certified copy analysis for your CA final audit in November 24, May 25, September 25. I exactly know where and how ICAI gives marks in CA final audit, so don't worry about it. This is our concept book from which we are going to cover. This concept book is of just 160 pages, in which we have covered 100% relevant portion for CA final audit. You will just love this concept book. You can see the pages that we have designed it in. It's a unique design, a tabular format through which we are going to cover. And next we will have question bank and everything which we will be discussing in the video. Let's start with the professional ethics as we have already started. So basically in professional ethics, we are going to cover the Chartered Accountants Act 1949 and the Chartered Accountants regulations, and one will be code of ethics. So basically there is a code of ethics which is developed and designed by ICAI. Then there is CA Act and regulations. So first of all, let's get an overview of code of ethics. This is not so important. It may come in MCQ, but I haven't asked it yet in your in old course or in new course, so it's a not asked question yet. First of all, there are 4 parts in your code of ethics. First part is part 1, which says that we have to comply with the code, fundamental principles, and the conceptual framework. The second part applies to the professional accountants in service. So basically CAs are divided into 2 parts here in this particular professional ethics chapter. One is in service, second in public practice. In service means those CAs which are working as employee. Either you're working as an employee in industry or a corporate, or you're working as an employee under a CA firm which is practicing. Okay. And second is in public practice. So basically either you are a partner on a partnership firm which is in practice doing CA related work like audit, review, assurance, engagement related services, or either you are a proprietor in your proprietorship firm, or a LLP, you are a partner in an LLP, so you will be called a CA in practice. So basically part 2 applies to professional accountancy service, including those CAs who are working as an employee of a firm. So if I am an employee of a firm, I am not CA in practice, I am CA in service. Okay, yes sir. Part 3 talks about professional accountants in public practice, those who are working in public practice. Part 4, it talks about independence. So independence is important when you are doing audit. So it says independence for audit and review engagement. So part 4 is independence for audit and review engagement, and part 4B is independence for other or the assurance engagements other than audit and review. We all know that there are 3 types of assurance engagement: audit, review, and other than audit and review, that is other assurance engagement. So part 4B applies to independence of other assurance engagement. Each section in the code of ethics, I am taking this more faster because this is not that relevant. Whichever thing which will be more relevant, we will be definitely spending more time on that. Yes, so each section of the code is divided into 3 parts. First is introduction, second is requirements, and third is application. Okay, if there is any circumstances where the code of ethics is contradicting the laws and regulation, then the laws and regulation will prevail, or we will give more priority to laws laws and regulation. This applies to our standards as well. Even if in any circumstances our standards say something else and which is contradicting the law and regulation, the law and regulation should be the priority. Law and regulation should be the overriding factor, and we will always follow the law and regulation. And same is the case with code of ethics as well. Okay, yes sir. Now let's talk about the important topic of our professional ethics, that is fundamental principles. There are 5 fundamental principles which are specified in code of ethics by the ICAI. What are the 5 fundamental principles? How can we learn the name of the 5 fundamental principles? Because you need to understand that there are 2 type of questions that the ICAI can ask from this fundamental principle. Either it will ask what is integrity, explain what is integrity, so we will have to explain what is integrity, or it will include one line in this question and then it will ask us to identify which fundamental principle is specifically talked about here. So we should know the names of all the fundamental principles. So here are the names of fundamental principle. How can we learn it? We can say, don't question my integrity and objectivity. What says it? Don't question my integrity and objectivity. I am professionally competent and confidential. I am confidential. What a English, sir. Very, very poor English, sir. I know it. I am professionally competent and confidential, and I will behave professionally. Okay, again here. Don't question my integrity and objectivity. I am professionally competent and confidential, and I will behave professionally. So this talks about your 5 fundamental principles of professional ethics, that is integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. Okay, yes sir. And in this sequence you have to learn these principles because these section numbers are also in sequence. Integrity is 111, objectivity is 112, professional competence and due care is 113, confidentiality is 114, and professional behavior is 115. This is important. This section number, learning section number, subsection numbers is important because in question the ICAI may want to give a hint. Okay, you have to answer this question according to subsection 114. Now if you don't know which subsection belongs to which particular principle, how will you understand which principle you have to write? So basically you have to understand this, learn this subsection numbers as well. So I have the memory technique that I have given here is also in sequence only. Okay, so you can learn these section numbers according to the sequence. Okay, let's talk about the first fundamental principle, that is integrity. That is subsection 111. Integrity is basically we have to be honest. We have to maintain honesty. We should be straightforward, honest in all our professional relationships, and we should maintain fair dealing and truthfulness. And here one thing is important: we should not knowingly be associated with false reports. If we do not know something and if we are associated with the report, then we are not in breach. Keep in mind. Okay, so we should not knowingly be associated with reports where we believe that the information that is contained in the report is materially false or misleading, which is not honest, which is false if we are associated with that report, or the information or the statement that in the report is negligently provided, carelessly provided, without any due facts verification we have provided any information, or in the report the information is omitted and because of which the report is misleading, misguiding, manipulating. So if we are associated with any kind of this report, and if we give a modified opinion, if we provide a modified report or a modified opinion for above matters, then we are not in breach of integrity. If we provide an unmodified opinion knowingly that the report is false, then we will be in breach of integrity. Or either we have to provide a modified opinion, or we can take steps to be disassociated from that information from this report. So basically if we are doing audit and if we get to know that the financial statements are wrong, then either we can provide a modified opinion or we can take steps to be disassociated from their financial statements, meaning thereby that we can take steps to be withdrawing from the engagement. Okay, yes sir. Next is objectivity, that talks about that is given in a subsection 1 and 1.2. So objectivity says that we have to be objective in our decisions, in our actions. We should not be pressurized by anyone. We should not be in conflict of our interest, or we should not be very biased in our calculations and actions. We should not be partial. We should not give partiality to anything that we are working on or we are acting something on. We should there should not be any undue influence of others, like we are auditing the company of our father, and now the father says, okay, you have to give an unmodified opinion. If you will not give an unmodified opinion, then we will kick you out of our house. So this should not be the case. We should have to respect our professional judgment, and we should not compromise our professional judgment. If we are compromising our professional judgment, that means we are not acting objectively. Next, third principle is for professional competence and due care, which is given in your subsection 113, which talks that we have to attain and maintain the professional knowledge and skill as required. We should have the knowledge, we should have the skill to perform the services that we have committed to perform. First thing is this. Secondly, diligence means what? So we have to be diligent while we are conducting our act or we are doing any action, acting diligently as per the technical and performance standards. Sir, what is diligence? Diligence means that we have to act as per the requirements of the assignment. We have to be careful, we have to act thoroughly and on timely basis. So if an auditor doesn't submit audit report on a timely basis, then which fundamental principle would be he of breach of? That would be professional competence and due care. So remember this can come in a question. Next, we have to ensure that those working that are working under us, the articles and the seniors and the managers, have appropriate training and supervision, and we should aware users of our services are the limitation of our services, that we have limitations on audit. You might have studied about the inherent limitation on audit, nature of audit procedures, nature of financial reporting. That will be covered in our 200 and basics of audit about video. So yeah, if you don't aware users about your limitation of audit, limitation of services, then you would be breach of professional competence and due care. Like this, you have to remember every point, because if you don't remember every point, and if a question comes like the CA has not aware users about his limitation of the services, then which principle he would be breach of? You should know that it comes under professional competence and due care. Okay, yes sir. Next, fourth principle is confidentiality, which is given in your subsection 114. So confidentiality says that we have to protect the information that we have received in our professional engagement. We should not disclose any information that we have received from either from our client or from our employing organization. Obviously, when we are employee, it's our employing organization, and when we are in practice, it's our client. So we should not disclose any of the information that we have received from our client or from our employing organization, even when the client is our ex-client or the employing organization is an ex-employing organization, even when the client is our prospective client. Like it's not in our existing client. We are in discussion with the client whether we need to work with them or not, and he has disclosed some information to me. I cannot disclose that information as well, even when he is not our existing client. Even when he is our prospective client, we cannot disclose any information that we have received from him, not from the prospective client and not even from our prospective employing organization. Okay, yes sir. So it says that confidentiality says that we don't have to disclose any information that we have acquired from client or from our employer, including prospective client or employer, including ex-client or employer. Okay, yes sir. We don't have to disclose, sir, can I open my own shop? Like my client is in garment manufacturing industry and I know everything in and out of the garment manufacturing. Can I open my own garment manufacturing shop? I am not disclosing the information, but I am using it for my own advantage. Can I do it? No, you cannot use any information, confidential information, for your personal advantage or third party's advantage as well. If you are doing it, then you will be breach of confidentiality. But there are circumstances, there are situations when the CAs are required to disclose confidential information. What are those circumstances? First of all, disclosure is required by law. The law requires you to disclose some information, then you have to disclose this information. Secondly, the disclosure is permitted by law and authorized by client or employing organization. The client or employing organization themselves are permitting you to disclose the information. And lastly, there is professional duty for you to disclose, and the law is not prohibiting. Even if the law is prohibiting you to disclose, even if it's your professional duty, then you cannot disclose. Law should not prohibit you to disclose, and it should be your professional duty to disclose. Now, what are the situations where we have a professional duty to disclose? First of all, when we have to comply with our technical and professional standards, when we have to comply with the peer and quality review, when we have to respond to an inquiry or investigation by a regulatory authority, or when we have to give an information in the legal proceeding to protect our interests, then we can disclose. It's not it's allowed, it's not at all prohibited. Okay, yes sir. Now, what things we should consider when we are deciding whether we should disclose this confidential information or not? These are the situation in which we have to disclose the confidential information, and these are the considerations or the things we need to consider before disclosing the confidential information. What things we need to consider, sir? First of all, we have to see whether all the relevant information is known to us. We don't have any half-hearted information. Half-baked information is obviously dangerous. So we should have all the relevant information that we know, that we want to discuss or we want to disclose, first of all. Secondly, what proposed type of disclosure we are trying to give and to whom we are trying to disclose this information. Thirdly, whether the parties to communicate are appropriate recipients or not, whether I am communicating this to the correct person or not, whether I am communicating to the wrong person, I should not communicate this, I should not disclose this information to this person, and I am disclosing that information to this person, then it's wrong. And lastly, we have to consider whether interest of any third party is harmed or not, whether after disclosing the information there would be a loss to any third party or not. We have to consider these 4 things before disclosing any confidential information. Okay, yes sir. Now the fifth last your principle of fundamental principle of code of ethics, that is professional behavior, given in your subsection 115. It says that we have to behave professionally, which means that we have to comply with the laws and regulation, and we have to avoid any conduct, any actions that might bring disrepute to the profession, that might discredit the profession in a wrong way, that might make our profession infamous, not famous, infamous, famous in a negative way. So for judging this, whether we are discrediting the profession, whether we are defaming the profession or not, we have to do a reasonable and informed third party test. So reasonable and informed third party test is basically you have to see objectively, after being reasonable, after being informed of the situation, whether a third party would conclude that we have actually discredited the profession or not. If the third party is able to conclude that we have discredited our profession, then we will be guilty under professional behavior, or we would be considered breach of professional behavior. Okay, yes. In this there are 4 points. First of all, we should not make exaggerated claims for anything, that we are the best firm in the India for doing audit or providing any services. Secondly, you should not do any disparaging references to work of others. So disparaging means we have obviously in our whole concept book, wherever there is any jargon word, very difficult word, we have highlighted or we have mentioned the simpler meaning of the same word in a bracket as well, so that you know while you are reading what this word means. So disparaging means downgrading references. We don't have to do any downgrading references to the work of others. We don't have to say that okay, this CA is working is less quality, this CA work is less quality, and we are the most superior one. We cannot do this. And lastly, we should not violate the advertisement guidelines of the council. So there are many guidelines about the advertisements that we can do as a chartered accountant. We should not violate this advertisement guidelines. If we are violating this advertisement guidelines, then we are breach of professional behavior. Okay, yes sir. These were the 5 fundamental principles of code of ethics. What were the 5 fundamental principles, sir? First of all, don't question my integrity and objectivity. I am professionally competent and confidential, and I will behave professionally. Okay, yes sir. Now it says that okay, there are 2 more points about this fundamental principle. In a situation when you are complying with one fundamental principle and it is in confliction with the other fundamental principle, like you want to comply with the integrity, you want to disclose all the information, but then confidentiality comes into play and it says that you don't have to disclose all the information. If there is any conflict between the fundamental principles, then you can make consultations. You can either consult others within the firm, within your own firm, within your own employing organization, or you can consult with the TCWG, those charged with governance, or you can consult with the ICAI, or you can consult with your legal counsel. However, make sure, keep it in your mind that these consultations do not reveal you from the responsibility to exercise professional judgment to resolve the conflict. So basically, you have to maintain your professional judgment. You have to use your professional intellect while resolving this problem. You cannot just depend on the consultations that you are taking, because you will be responsible for everything that you are doing. Either you can resolve this conflict or you can disassociate from the matter creating conflict, unless it is prohibited by law and regulation, which means that we can withdraw from the audit unless law and regulation doesn't allow us. And in what situation law and regulation doesn't allow us, sir? 45 days. If you are withdrawing within the end of the quarter, within 45 days from the end of the quarter, then you have to issue a report of that particular quarter. If you remember that SS 705, and this all we will be covered in the SS 705 video. Okay, yes sir. Now let's come to the next important topic, that is threats to principles. So we have discussed 5 principles. Now there are threats to principles. These are some circumstances or some situations which will not allow us to comply with the fundamental principle. Now there are 5 types of threats to fundamental principle. What are the 5 types of threat to fundamental principle? How we can learn the name of the 5 types of threats to fundamental fundamental principle. This is important since the question can be asked in two forms. Either they will tell you to describe this threat, or they will give a situation and tell you to identify what kind of threat is applicable to that particular situation. Okay, yes sir. So threats, there are 5 types of threats that we have to discuss about. First of all, the biggest threat would be when I am auditing my father's own company. He says that you have to that I will have to obviously issue an unmodified opinion. If I issue a modified opinion, he will kick me out of the house. So that is because he is in my family. He is my family. I am familiar to my father. So this is a familiarity threat. What it is? Familiarity threat. In familiarity threat, since I am auditing my own family, so it means that I am auditing myself, which means that I am reviewing myself, which comes to the next threat of self-review threat. And when I am reviewing myself, there is a self-interest involved. If I am reviewing myself, I cannot blame my own mistakes. So there is a self-interest threat involved. When I am reviewing myself, I will be advocate of myself. I will not tell you that I have made this mistakes and I have done this wrong. I will always tell you that I am doing everything right and everything in all the favors. So yes, I am becoming advocate of myself. If I don't do this, if I don't favor my own family, then my family is intimidating me, pressurizing me. I will remove you from the house. So basically they are intimidating me. So this is an intimidation threat. So through this maybe through story, or you can just maybe basically remember the 5 types of threats that are applicable on us as a chartered accountant that can very much prevent us from complying with the fundamental principles. Okay, yes sir. First is self-interest threat. What is self-interest threat? So basically self-interest is more often linked to your financial interest, to your money part. So self-interest threat is basically, it says that we have a financial or other interest which will inappropriately influence our judgment or behavior, which will basically prevent us from complying with our judgment and behavior. Now what are the example of the threats during professional service, and what are the example of the threats during professional activity? Here in this particular case, in threats particular concept, the professional service means practice and professional activity means job. Keep this in your mind. Professional service means practice and professional activity means job. Okay, yes sir, chaliye. So first we will discuss about the examples of threats, self-interest threats that are applicable when we are doing practice, that is in professional service. First of all, we have a direct financial interest in the client. We have given loan or guarantee to the client. Secondly, close business relationship with the client. We have another business that have a business relationship with the client. So if I give a modified opinion, the client might end the business relationship with my other business. So it is in my self-interest that I don't give a modified opinion. Next, we have an access to confidential information that can be used for personal gain. So we should be attached to this client. We should have that confidential information so that we can use it for our personal gain. Thirdly, we are quoting low fee and it is difficult to perform services as per the standards. We are quoting fee, 1 rupee fee for audit. Now if you are quoting 1 rupee fee for audit, can we provide the standards? Can we follow essays and provide all the services according to the standards? No sir. So basically we are quoting low fee. Next, we are discovering a significant error when we are evaluating the service of our own team member. So we have our team member which are articles and they are doing a lot of significant errors. As an article, we have also done a lot of significant errors. So basically when a partner is reviewing our work and if he discovers any significant error, then it's in his self-interest that he doesn't disclose this significant error to the client. So basically here it is self-interest threat. Don't misconfuse it to don't confuse it with the self-review threat. In self-review threat, we are specifically engaged to review our own services, then it is called self-review threat. Okay, yes sir. Next, let's talk about the self-interest threat examples for when we are in job. So first of all, it says that we are holding financial interest or we are receiving loan or guarantee from employing organization. Secondly, we are participating in the incentive arrangements by the employing organization. So we are receiving money. We are having access to the assets for personal use. Articles printing their own book from their firm is the assets for personal use. So we want to be in that firm which allows us to print our books. And lastly, we are being offered gift from supplier of employing organization. If I don't be an employee of this organization, then I won't receive any gift from the suppliers. Okay, yes sir. here next, so this was our self-interest threat. Next is our intimidation threat. So we are deterred means stopped. We are deterred from acting objectively. No one wants us to act objectively. We are stopped from being active objectively due to pressures including undue influence. Now what are the example of threats in your professional service? Basically when you are practicing, first of all, we are threatened with dismissal, that we will be removed from the service if we are not agreeing to client's opinions or we are disagreeing about any matter with the client. Secondly, we are pressured to agree with the client's judgment because client is having more expertise in respect of that matter. So client is arguing that we have to comply or we have to agree with the client's opinions. And lastly, that we are being informed that our planned promotion, basically the fees increase that the client has already planned or committed to us in the next year, will not occur if we are not agreeing to inappropriate accounting treatment. So basically they are pressurizing us, they are ordering us, they are deterring us, stopping us from acting objectively. And lastly is the most heinous crime that the client can make, is that we have accepted the gift from the client, and the client is then threatening that this particular information that we have accepted the gift from the client will be made public, so that the public will not now believe or not now trust our audit report, since they will consider that we are not independent of the client. Okay, yes sir, these are our example of threats for intimidation. And then the next example of intimidation threats when you are doing professional activities, first of all, we means the employee, the chartered accountant who is an employee in the organization. So we or our close family member is facing the threat of dismissal, like they will be removed from as an employee, they will be obviously sacked as an employee, dismissal over disagreement if we disagree without the application of an accounting principle or the way in which the financial information is to be reported. Or there is an individual which is attempting to influence our decision making process, then it is called an intimidation threat. Remember this is more important, because the most of the question that ICAI has asked includes that they are giving us circumstances and then they are asking us to identify which threats are basically involved. So you need to know the examples of the threats as well. Okay, yes sir. Next talks about the advocacy threat. So basically we are being advocate of the client. We are saying that the client is very good, very humble, very great, and is doing everything good. So basically advocacy threat talks about that we are promoting clients or employing organization, and we are not doing it at a small level, we are doing it at a larger level, so that even when a third party can assume that our objectivity is getting compromised, we are just promoting client everywhere, every time, and to a great level that even the third parties are thinking that our objectivity is compromised. We are not objective while we are auditing the client. So basically now there comes into play the advocacy threat. What are the examples of the threats during professional service? Basically when we are in practice, the first of all is we are acting as an advocate for the client. Oh my god, the best thing that we can do, the worst thing that we can do is we are acting as an advocate, as a lawyer for the client in third party cases. Secondly, we are lobbying in favor of legislation for the client. So basically we are in the team of government who is making some legislations, and we are trying that we make some legislation which is in favor of our own client. So basically there is an advocacy threat. And so thirdly, we are promoting shares of the client. Okay, buy the shares of the client is going to go up, the share price is going to go up, which means we have an advocacy threat. An example of threats during the professional activity in our job is we are manipulating the information that is given in the prospectus so that the client obtains favorable financing. He is able to raise money through the IPO and FPO. We are manipulating the information in prospectus. Okay, yes sir. The fourth threat is familiarity threat. Now in familiarity threat, here familiarity threat due to long or close relationship with the client or employing organization, we are too sympathetic to the client interest. So basically we think, okay, oh, this is my own people, these are my own people, I cannot give a modified opinion. If I will give a modified opinion, the shares will crash and he will go down and he will so basically when we are thinking about this, when we are too sympathizing with the client or employing organization interest, then it is called a familiarity threat. Make a difference between self-interest threat and familiarity threat. In self-interest threat, there is a financial interest and there is a close business relationship. We have a business which has having a relationship with the client, and in the familiarity threat we have a long close personal relationship. Personal relationship is familiarity threat, business relationship is self-interest threat. Okay, yes sir. So example of threats in case of practices, we have a close family member who is a director or officer of client. Now my wife is director of the client, and if I am giving a modified opinion, my wife will beat me in my home. So basically I cannot give a modified opinion. Now director or officer of the client have recently served as an engagement partner. There was a previous engagement partner who is now the director or officer of the client. I cannot obviously talk to him or maybe give a modified opinion on his company. And lastly, the audit team member is having long association with the client. We are having a years and years of relationship with the client. So now they are our close family member, like our family members. So we cannot obviously give a modified opinion. Now example of threats during professional activity or doing our job is that we are responsible for financial reporting when our close family member are making decisions for financial reporting. So if we say that their decisions are wrong, it's obviously not gonna happen. Lastly, we are having long association with those individuals who are making business decisions, so we cannot say that their business decisions are wrong. Okay, yes sir. The last threat that we have to talk about is self-review threat. So basically in this we have done a work and then we are separately engaged for reviewing the same work that we have done earlier. So basically it says that we are not appropriately evaluating the results of the previous judgment that we have made, or we are not evaluating the results of the activity which we have already performed or which is performed by the another individual which is from our same firm or employing organization. It's not necessarily that we have already performed, we have to only perform the services. If it is performed by other person which are in our same firm or employing organization and we have been engaged to review those services, then also self-review threat will be inactive. Okay, yes sir, chaliye. So it talks about example of threats during our practices: issuing assurance report when on effectiveness of financial system. When we have ourselves implemented those system, we will obviously say they are effective, they are efficient. Next, when we have prepared the original data and we have been asked to prepare an assurance engagement on that original data, we'll obviously say that the original data is correct since we have already prepared it. So there's a self-review threat here. Now example of threats in a job is, this is a kind of a weird example, just you have to remember it. What it says that we are determining, so basically we have done a feasibility study supporting a purchase decision whether we need to purchase this business or not. We have done a feasibility studies that yes it is feasible to purchase this company. And secondly, now we are only involved in determining the appropriate accounting treatment for this business combination. So there is a self-interest threat over so there is a self-review threat involved over here. Okay, yes sir. Now sir, threats we have discussed about it. Suppose there is a threat. Now what we have to do? So they are saying that you have to evaluate the threat if it is an acceptable level or not. Now sir, what is an acceptable level? So acceptable level is the level at which the informed and reasonable third party would conclude that the chartered accountant is complying with the professional ethics or the fundamental principles of code of ethics. So basically the threats are applicable on what? On the fundamental principles. Threat denotes that we might not be complying with the fundamental principle. Now suppose that there is any threat and the third party is concluding that the CA is complying with the fundamental principle even when the threat is present. So we can say that the threat is at acceptable level. We can obviously manage the threat. We can obviously accept the threat. So acceptable level is a level at which the accounting using the reasonable and informed third party test would conclude that he complies with the fundamental principle. We are complying with the fundamental principle when the threat is present, then the threat is at acceptable level. If the threat is at not acceptable level, then what we will do sir? We will eliminate or reduce the threat. How we will eliminate or reduce the threat? First of all, we will decline the specific professional activity. We will say we will not do your audit because there are threats on our fundamental principles. Secondly, we can eliminate those circumstances creating the threat. Suppose our articles have bought some shares of the client, then we will remove the article from our engagement team and then we will be independent of the client. And lastly, we can apply the safeguards to reduce the threats to an acceptable level. What are safeguards, sir? So safeguards are the action that a CA takes to reduce the threat to an acceptable level. What are the examples? Some of the examples of safeguard. First of all, we can assign additional time or qualified personnel for that particular task. We can have an appropriate reviewer who is not our team member so that he can review our work performed. We can use different partners and different teams which have separate reporting lines to provide non-assurance services to our assurance client so that there is no self-review threat or self-interest threat involved over here. We can involve another firm to perform or re-perform some engagement. And lastly, when we have identified or we have engaged so many people, we can divide separate teams when dealing with the confidential matters. So not everyone knows about everything about the client. Okay, yes sir, this was everything about our threats. I hope you are liking it till now. If you are liking it, please do a like. It will definitely motivate me to put more English revision videos like this. in membership of ICAI, the first topic is types of members of ICAI. So there are two types of member of ICAI as per section 5. One is associate member, second is fellow member. Sir, associate member, when you are an associate member, when we have just become a chartered accountant after clearing your CA final exams, you are going to become a chartered accountant. After you have become a chartered accountant, you will be called an associate chartered accountant, and you are ready, you are allowed to use ACA word after your name. Ankush Chirimar, ACA, that we are allowed to use. Now second is fellow member. Who is a fellow member? One who is an associate for continuous practice in India for at least 5 years. That is important, that you are continuously in practice in India for 5 years. Then you are going to call yourself fellow chartered accountant, or an associate who possesses such qualification which is equal to an experience of having 5-year post qualification practice for post qualification experience practice of in India. Then you can call yourself a fellow chartered accountant. So you can basically ignore this, you just have to remember this one. And lastly, when you are fellow chartered accountant, you can use the word FCA after your name. Okay, yes. Now what are the disabilities for the purpose of membership, which are basically the circumstances where you cannot be a member of the ICAI? So basically where you cannot call yourself a chartered accountant, these are given in your section 8. First of all, when you have not attained the age of 21 years, if you are not of 21 years age, you cannot take in membership of ICAI. Secondly, you are an unsound mind as adjudged by the competent court. A competent court calls you that you are an unsound mind, not your friend calling you an unsound mind. You are pagal is basically unsound mind, mental, that you are mental. If your friend calls you mental, which basically my friend calls me every day, so that's not the case. If a competent court calls you unsound mind, then you are not allowed to be a member of ICAI. Thirdly, you are an undischarged insolvent. If you are an undischarged insolvent, you cannot be a member. Thirdly, if you are a discharged insolvent but you have not obtained a certificate from the court stating that the insolvency was because of a misfortune without any misconduct on your part, like it was because of the misfortune, because of your buri kismat, as we say in Hindi, because of your misfortune, if you were insolvent, you have to take a certificate from the court, then only you can be a member. If you do not have this certificate and if you are a discharged insolvent, then you cannot be a member of ICAI. And lastly, you are convicted by court, whether in or outside India, of any offense which involves moral turpitude and punishable with imprisonment. You are punishable with imprisonment, moral turpitude, convicted by court, not allowed. Or any offense which was committed by you in your professional capacity, unless, so basically in this situation you are not allowed to be a member unless you have been granted pardon, you have been granted sorry, or the CG has removed your disability, then you can be a member of ICAI. Or you are removed from membership because you were guilty of any misconduct. If you are the part of any disability, if you are exercising any disability, if you are basically suffering from any disability, and if you are not disclosing this fact that you have suffered from any of the disability, then it would amount to a professional misconduct. Okay, yes sir. What is professional misconduct, what is other misconduct, we will definitely discuss it in our schedules wala topic. Chaliye. Next, we have to discuss about the removal of name from the register of member. It says that you cannot be a member of the ICAI in this particular situation. In this particular situation, you cannot no longer be a member of ICAI. So basically, there is a register of members where all the membership numbers, names, and everything are written. And this is a register of member. If your name is being entered into register of members, it means that you are a member of ICAI. So if your name is removed from the register of member, then you are no longer a chartered accountant. You are no longer a member of ICAI. This is given in section number 20. Which says that if you are dead, you are removed from the member of registers. Next, if from whom request is received from the removal, if you are yourself requesting that you don't want to remain a member of ICAI, then your name will be removed. Next, if you have not paid the membership fee, then your name will be removed. And lastly, if you are found to have any disabilities mentioned above, if you found to suffer from any disabilities mentioned here, then your name will be removed. Obviously, it can happen that you are a chartered accountant and then you become an undischarged insolvent, so you cannot be a member of ICAI, so your name will be removed from the register of members. Okay, yes sir. Now let's talk about the restoration of membership that is given in your regulation 19. So restoration means like from which date our membership will be restored. Like ICAI has removed me from the register of members and now it wants to restore me as a member. Then from which date he will restore me as a member? First of all, it says that if the member is removed from the register for non-payment of fee, if we were removed from the register for non-payment of fee, we haven't paid the membership fee. Then when we are giving an application for our inclusion in the name along with the fee, then we can be entered again in the register of members. ICAI says pay the fee, pay the penalty, pay the fine, and then we will again re-enter your name in our register of members. But from which date they will enter our name in the register of members, that is the main question here. So what will be the effective date for restoration of membership? In the first case, where the application that we have made is in the same financial year of removal, in the same financial year, the same year means financial year, then from the date on which the name was removed, from the date when the name was removed, our name will be restored. So basically, if the name was removed on 30th September, because I haven't paid my fees, and I paid my fees on, maybe you can say, the next year, 1st January, it is in the same financial year, then my name will be restored from 30th September only. Okay, yes sir. And this is the same case for COP restoration as well. COP is basically certificate of practice. When you are in practice, you have to take a certificate of practice. So if you are not paying the fees of certificate of practice and your certificate of practice is surrendered or removed, you are removed from the certificate practice register, then if you pay your fees in the same financial year, then your COP will be restored from the same date when it was removed. Okay, yes sir, this same case is applicable for COP restoration as well. Second, sir, removal of name is under the orders of Board of Discipline or your disciplinary committee or appellate authority or High Court. Then as per the orders, if the order says that you are removed from the name till 2 years, then for 2 years your name will not be entered in the register. After 2 years your name will be entered in the register. And lastly, in all other cases, from the date of application receipt, your name will be entered in the register. So basically, if you are not applying in the same financial year, if you are applying in a different financial year, then from the date of application your name will be entered in the register of members. Okay, yes sir. Then next thing is section number 24, which text talks about penalty for falsely claiming to be a member of ICAI. So any person who is not a member of ICAI, represents that he is a member of ICAI, or uses the designation chartered accountant, firstly this, or secondly, if you are a member of ICAI but you are not having the certificate of practice but you are representing yourself as a CA in practice, then also you will be guilty in this particular section. Either you are not a CA representing yourself as a CA, you are a CA but not in practice representing yourself in practice, then you will be guilty under this particular section. You will be punishable if you are firstly convicted, if you are firstly found out about this mischief or this maybe penalty, then your fine would be up to 1,000 rupees, and on subsequent conviction, on your subsequent your subsequent conviction with imprisonment, your you may go to imprisonment up to 6 months, or with a fine of up to 5,000, or with both. And if you are not paying the fine, then you can get a rigorous imprisonment for 3 months. Okay, yes sir. If you are not a CA representing yourself a CA, if you are a CA but not in practice representing yourself as a CA in practice, then this fine is applicable. Yes sir. Next, the most important topic in this particular one of the most important topic in this particular chapter is CAIP, that is Chartered Accountant in Practice. So first of all, the first topic here, look here, first of all, the first topic is significance of certificate of practice, which is given in section number 6. It says that no CA is allowed to practice unless he has a certificate of practice. If we are not having certificate of practice, then we are not allowed to practice. CA which are not in practice are precluded, are prohibited, are not allowed from accepting an engagement which for services which are prescribed for CA, even though it does not require special qualification. So basically, I am a CA, I am not in practice, I cannot accept audit, I cannot accept review engagement, I cannot accept related services. After CA, I have to take certificate of practice, then only I can accept or I can do those works which are allowed for CAs. Okay, yes sir. Next thing is that council is of the view that if you are a member, you are bound by the CA Act. If you are appearing before any income tax tribunal as an income tax representative, then you can only do so as in your capacity as a CA. You cannot set a CA Act at naught. Naught means no importance. You cannot say that the CA Act doesn't hold importance to me. I am a member of the ICAI, but I am not a member of, I am not representing member of the ICAI as a CA. It's not work like that. If you are a member of the ICAI, then wherever you go, you are representing yourself as a member of ICAI. You are representing yourself as a CA. That's what this line means. He say that he cannot set a CA Act at naught by contending that even though he is suspended from practice, he is entitled to practice in some other capacity. Which means that if you are surrendered, if you are suspended from practice, if you are told that your COP is surrendered and you are suspended from the practice, then you cannot do any other work in another capacity, since you can only work in the capacity of a CA in practice, and since your COP is surrendered, you cannot do any other work. But now here there is also an exception. There are 3 questions related to this particular provision which we are going to discuss right now. He says the council says that the CA can have no other capacity separable from his capacity to practice as a member. You can have only one capacity, that is CA in practice. You cannot have any other capacity. ICAI is basically very possessive about its member. ICAI is basically very possessive about its members. It says that once you are a CA, you can only practice as a CA and you cannot do anything else. And if your COP is surrendered, you cannot do anything else. You are basically helpless and you cannot earn anything. But that's not the case. Obviously, there are 3 questions related to it. It says that if you are an income tax representative, if you are doing an income tax representation when you are yourself have surrendered your COP, then it is not allowed. But if you are doing data privacy consultancy, GST consultancy, then it is allowed. So basically consultancy is allowed even when your COP is surrendered or suspended, but income tax representation is not allowed. Okay. Yes, sir. Next we talk about cancellation of COP. In what cases our COP will be cancelled? COP is basically certificate of practice. I hope you know this now. So basically if the name of COP holder is removed from the register of members of ICAI, then the COP will obviously cancel. It's not like that we are not a CA, but we are a CA in practice. Obviously it cannot be like that. So when your name is removed from the register of member, your COP is cancelled. Secondly, COP was issued based on incorrect information or by mistake, then your COP will be cancelled. If the member has ceased to be in practice, if you are not in practice, then no COP. Or you have not paid the annual fee for COP till 30th September. So here we have been given a date. If we are not paying the fee of COP till 30th September, then our name will be removed from the COP holder. And there the date was not given. In case of register of ICAI, the date was not given. But here for COP, the date is given, that is 30th September. And if the COP is cancelled, we have to surrender it to the secretary of ICAI. Here we have to surrender it to the secretary of ICAI. Next thing is the company cannot engage in accountancy. So chartered accountants cannot form a company and then do practice. They have to form either partnership, either LLP or their own proprietorship firm. They cannot form a company. This is given in section number 25. Now if an LLP is having one of its partner as company, then that LLP will also be considered as company and that LLP cannot act as a CA in practice. So it says that the term company also includes an LLP who has company as its partner. So we cannot have a company as our partner as well. We cannot practice in the name of the company and we cannot have a company as our partner as well. Okay. Yes, sir. No company, whether Indian or whether or not Indian, shall practice as CA. If any company contravenes above, then every director, manager, officer who is knowingly party to such contravention will be punishable on first conviction 1,000, subsequent conviction 5,000. Sir, why not imprisonment? Company cannot be imprisoned. No, company cannot be put into jail. So basically there are 2 types of punishment for you. First conviction 1,000, subsequent conviction 5,000. This is same as the conviction on your falsely claiming to be a member of the ICAI. Okay. Yes, sir. Except the imprisonment. Chaliye. Next, we have to discuss that there is section number 7, which is also important, which says that the CA in practice is prohibited from using designation other than CA. Obviously, ICAI is very possessive. It says that you cannot use any other designation other than chartered accountant. This is written in section number 7, and we have a similar kind of a provision in our clause 7, part 1, first schedule as well. Obviously, those who have read this professional ethics knows it very well. So yeah, CA in practice cannot use any designation other than CA nor any other description. We cannot use any designation, any description. CA who is not in practice and does not use any designation of CA may use any other description that is allowed. If you are not in practice, then you can do anything. If you are in CA in practice, then you cannot use any other designation. So basically, if you are merchant, banker or advisor to company issue, this was the question which was asked in September 25. It says that in companies offered documents and advertisements for capital issue, name and address of CA or firm can be mentioned. It's allowed under the banner, under the heading advisor or consultant to issue, provided your name does not appear prominently. However, it cannot be mentioned in a visiting card. We cannot mention advisor or consultant to issue in our visiting card. Okay. Yes, sir. Next, CAs who are directors in the company, members of parliament, political parties, members of parliament, municipal councillor holding positions in organizations are not permitted to mention these positions. CA cannot designate himself as cost accountant, but we can use letters ACMA, FCMA after our name. We cannot use CA, CS, Ankush, CA, CMA, Ankush Chirimar. We can use CA, Ankush Chirimar, and description. In description, we can write FCMA or ACMA, whatever it is. But we cannot use CA, CMA, Ankush Chirimar. Next, we are not allowed to state ourselves as an income tax consultant, cost accountant, company secretary, cost consultant, management consultant, corporate lawyer, cyber security expert. We cannot state any of these in our visiting cards or any of the professional documents. We cannot use CPA on our visiting card. Obviously, there is an exception to this, but we cannot use CPA on our visiting card. CA in practice, may practice. We want, if we are a CAs and we are also in practice, if we are a cost accountant, we can also practice. So CA in practice may practice as a company secretary or a cost accountant, but he shall not use designation of such institute simultaneously with the CA. So basically, when we are practicing as a chartered accountant, we can use CA. Sorry. When we are practicing as a CS, we can use CS. When we are practicing as a CMA, we can use CMA, but we cannot use CA, CS, CMA, Ankush Chirimar. Okay? Yes, sir. Now I know you might be wondering that I have seen many people using the same designations, all the designation themselves, but obviously the professional ethics is only in theory. The practical world is much different. Practical world, there are many violations of professional ethics which we don't count, but professional ethics as per law, you cannot do the same. Okay. Now, what are the things that are permitted? First of all, you are permitted to mention the membership of the Foreign Institute of the Accountancy with which the ICAI signed MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, or Mutual Recognition Agreement. That are basically these 2-3 institutes you have to remember. First is South African Institute of CAs, that is SICA. Institute of Certified Public Accountants, that is CPA Ireland. So we cannot use CPA, but we can use CPA Ireland. Next is Institute of CAs in England and Wales, that is ICAEW. Now, insolvency professional registered valuer, we are allowed to use we are allowed to use them on visiting card and letterhead. Okay. Now there is a question about, now there is an important section which comes frequently in exams, that is section number 27, which talks about maintenance of branch offices. So it says that if we are a CA in practice or a firm, and if we have more than one branches in India, then each branch should be under a separate, should be in charge of a separate branch of a, so basically each branch should have a separate in charge who should be a chartered accountant. This is the condition. So basically I can, if there is my firm and I have two branches, one is in Mumbai and second is in Delhi, then I cannot be a branch in charge of both the branches. I will have to hire another CA who should be the branch in charge of that another particular branch. Okay, I can be branch in charge of only one branch. Okay, yes sir. And if we are not doing this, we are guilty of professional misconduct. CA in charge of the branch of another firm should be associated, the CA which is branch in charge of our firm should be associated with us or the firm either as a partner, he should be our partner, or he should be our paid assistant and should be only full-time employment. We cannot say to our friend who is another CA in practice to just become a branch in charge. He should be either our partner or he should be either a full-time employee. Then only we can allow him to be engaged as a branch in charge of another branch. Okay, yes sir. The CA in charge of the branch shall be actively associated with such branch. We cannot do like that. I am here in Mumbai, living in Mumbai, and I am the branch in charge of Delhi. It doesn't work like this. It says that we should be actively associated with such branch, which means that we should reside at the place of the branch, or we should attend the branch for at least 182 days in a financial year. In a financial year, 182 days, we should at least attend the branch. Then only we can become a branch in charge. Now the CA is allowed to put the name board at the place of resident with the designation of CA. At my residence, I can put a name board with the designation CA Ankush Chirimar, provided the name board is my and not of my firm. So basically, I cannot write my firm name Ankush Chirimar and firm at my place of residence. But obviously, I can mention that Ankush Chirimar and firm company at the place of my firm. Okay, yes sir. Now there are two exceptions to this particular section number 27, which says that we do not need to keep separate branch in charges in more than one branches. When first of all, the exemption is given from having separate in charge for members who are practicing in hill areas. They are given this exemption, but their conditions are, first of all, the members practicing in hill areas are allowed to open temporary offices in plains for up to 3 months. So for 3 months in a financial year, they can open any temporary office in the plain areas, and it can be any 3 months, not specifically winter. It can be April, May, June also. Okay? Yes sir. Next is the regular office which is in their hill areas should not need not be closed, and all the correspondence, all the communication can be made to the regular office. The name board of the firm at the temporary office should only be displayed at the times when those 3 months when we are opening the temporary office, we can display the name board of the firm there. apart from these 3 months, we cannot mention any name board of the temporary office. We can only mention the name board of the temporary office in those 3 months only. Okay, yes sir. Next, the temporary office should not be mentioned in our letterhead, visiting card, or other documents as a place of business. We cannot mention the temporary office in our cards and everything. And before starting of every winter, which means that before using any temporary office, we need to inform ICAI about the opening and closing of the temporary office by the registered post. Okay, if you follow all these conditions, then you are exempted from allotting any separate in charge of your branch. That is, one is in your hill area and one is in the plains. Then you can be the branch in charge of both the branches. Okay, yes sir. Now another exemption from having separate in charge for the second office: when both the offices are located in the same accommodation, same building, both the offices are located, you can be the branch in charge of the same. Second office is located in the same city as first office. Within the same city, there is both the offices are there, then you can be the branch in charge of both. Second office is located within the distance of 50 km from municipal limits of city of the first office. So basically, this is my first office. This is the municipal limit of my first office for first office city. This is my second office, and this is the municipal limit of the second city office. Then the distance should be counted from the first office municipal city limits to the second office. So this distance is to be counted, and this distance, if this distance is within 50 kilometers, then we are allowed, or we are exempted from keeping separate branch in charge. We can be the branch in charges of both the branches. Okay, yes sir. And lastly, when we are having two offices, however, we are allowed to, when we are exempted from having two branch in charges, if we are having two offices, then we have to declare to ICAI which is our main office and thus our professional address. Okay, yes sir. Chaliye. So this was about our maintenance of branch offices. I hope everything is clear to you. Next, we have to discuss about the members which are deemed to be in practice. So it says about section 2.2, which says that the members are deemed to be in practice if you are not taken COP, but if you are doing these all things, then you are deemed to be in practice. So basically it says if you are practicing, if you are doing the practice of accountancy, or if you are offering to perform or performing auditing of transaction records, या फिर you are preparing or certification of statements, or you are providing professional services for accounting, presentation or certification of financial facts, or you are providing other services that are provided by CA in practice, example services or armed forces or management consultancy services, then you are deemed to be in practice. Next is one question which was asked by ICAI in your exam, in your recent new course exams. It is related to regulation 191, which says that if a CA in his professional capacity is working as a liquidator, trustee, executor, administrator, arbitrator, receiver, advisor, or you are representing for costing, financial or taxation matter, or you are appointed by CJ or SG or court or other legal authority, or you are acting as a secretary. If you are not doing anything on a salary come full-time basis, or in your professional or in your personal capacity, then you will be considered as a CA in practice, or a CA in practice will be allowed to do this everything. So basically it says if you are doing these all things in your professional capacity, then you are deemed to be in practice, or a CA in practice, or in other words, a CA in practice can do everything, can do all of the things. Firstly. Secondly, if you are doing this all for your employing organization, then you are not in CA in practice, then you are an employee. If you are doing this in a personal capacity as a friend to help your friend, then it's not a CA in practice, then you are obviously a normal CA. So if you are doing this as a CA in your professional capacity, then you are considered to be in practice, deemed to be in practice. That is written in our regulation 191. Okay, yes sir. Just ensure that it is not on a salary come full-time basis. So basically you are not working as a salary, under the salary you are working in a professional capacity. Okay, yes sir. So basically if we are a salaried employee of a CA in practice, we are a CA in service, but we are considered as CA in practice only for the limited purpose of training article assistants. So basically for training article assistants, each CA has its own limit. Some can take 3 only, some has the capacity of 5. So basically the ICAI has set on its own rules. So basically if I am working in a firm, I am a CA, I am working in a firm, so I am a CA in service, but for training article assistants I will be considered CA in practice. So my limit will also be counted, that I have also my limit of 3 article assistants or 5 article assistants as the case may be, and I can also take up article assistants under my name. Okay, yes sir. Chaliye. And secondly, if I have set up my offices but I have not served any client, will I be considered to be deemed to be in practice since I have not served any client? Yes, even the act of setting up the establishment will be considered to be in practice even though no client is served. Okay, yes sir. Next, section 144 of the Companies Act, you have been hearing this from your childhood about this section number 144. It says that if you are an auditor of a company, then you can provide any other services, only those services which are approved by the board of directors or the audit committee, but following services cannot be provided by you either directly or indirectly. We cannot provide these services either to the company or its holding company or its subsidiary company, because if we are providing these all services, then there can be a self-review threat involved. That's why it is not allowed that we cannot provide these services. We indirectly cannot provide these services. We cannot provide these services to the company, to its holding company, or to its subsidiary company. Otherwise, apart from this, all the services that are allowed by a BOD or audit committee, we can provide all the services. We can obviously provide management consultancy and other services to our statutory audit client apart from this. Okay, yes sir. So what are the services section 134 involves? That is accounting and bookkeeping services, design and implementation of financial information system, outsourced financial services, internal audit, actuarial services, investment advisory services, investment banking services, management services, and other services as prescribed. Okay, yes sir. Now let's talk about the management consultancy and other services, which is given in section 224. CAI in practice is permitted to provide MCS. So basically MCS, wherever I will say MCS, it is management consultancy and other services. So CAI in practice is permitted to provide MCS. It does not involve what services are not included in CAI, MCS, that is statutory audit, tax representation or consultancy, or liquidator, trustee, executor, administrator, arbitrator, or receiver. These all services are not included in MCS. Why it is important, I will tell you later. But you have to understand that these all services are not considered part of MCS. Then what services are considered part of MCS, sir? Financial management planning, capital structure planning, working capital management, project reports and feasibility studies, tax implications of all the 4 services, cash flow statement, profitability, sources and application of funds. So basically you just have to give a read. Budgeting, inventory management, storage, market research and demand, price fixation, management accounting and systems control, and cost control methods and management reporting. This is important. Personal recruitment, selection and training. You can do personal recruitment, selection and training for a company. Executive and wage incentive plans, management and operational audits. You can do valuation of shares, business amalgamation. You can be a registered valuer, but you cannot do valuation of plant and machinery. Okay, yes sir. Business policy, corporate planning, organization growth. You can do organization structure, development of HR training, job evaluation, system analysis, computer related services and EDP. You can be an advisor to a issue. This was the question that was asked. You can be an advisor to the issue, including drafting the prospectus and listing the agreement, publicity, budget, selection. You can do selection of bankers, brokers, underwriter. You can do selection of registrars, printers, advisors. You can advise on post issue activities, but you cannot go to pub. Sir, we cannot go to pub means, so basically we cannot do portfolio management services, we cannot do underwriting, and we cannot do broking. We can select the underwriters, brokers, but we cannot do underwriting and broking services or portfolio management services. We cannot do portfolio management services, but we can do investment counseling. Okay, these are the differences which you need to remember. Next is we can be the registrar to issue or transfer for shares. We can do quality audit, environment audit, energy audit. We can be a recovery consultant in the banking sector. We can do insurance financial advisory. We can be an insolvency professional. We can do all the admin and the clerical work that is required, which require little professional judgments and are clerical in nature. Like we can do word processing services. We can prepare admin forms for client approval. We can submit the forms as instructed by the client. We can monitor the statutory filing dates and advising the client. Example, all the functions of GST practitioner we are allowed to do, and that will be covered in our MCS. Okay, yes sir. What are types of question will be asked will be covered later when we are studying the guidelines of MCS. Chaliye. Next, the topic we have to discuss before starting with our schedules is KYC. So KYC norms for CA in practice, it says that we have to maintain, this is called know your customer form. So basically we have to maintain some details about the clients to whom which we are providing the services. Now these KYC norms are mandatory to all attestation engagements. Like compilation is also an attestation engagement. Attestation engagements is all the engagement where you are signing any report or certificate. Those are called attestation engagement. So all the attestation engagement like compilation is also an attestation engagement. attestation engagement. So for all the attestation engagement, KYC norms are mandatory, but consultancy, if you are just providing consultancy to any client, then KYC norms are not mandatory. Okay, yes sir. So now what details we have to maintain? First of all, if the client is individual, then you have to maintain some general information and engagement information. And general information, it is name, PAN number, Aadhaar number, business description, and copy of last audited financial statements. Engagement information mein what is the type of engagement that you are giving to him? Audit, review, related service, what type of engagement? If the client is not an individual, a corporate entity, then apart from this, these additional things you have to take. These things you have to take, but apart from this additional things you have to take. In general information, you have to also take the address of entity and the name of parent company if it is a subsidiary. Regulatory information, you have to take company ka PAN number and company identification number, directors' names and addresses, and directors' identification number. And the client is non-corporate entity like partnership or LLP. Then apart from this, you have to take partners' names and addresses with PAN, Aadhaar, and DIN number. Okay, yes sir, this was everything that we have to cover in professional ethics just before our schedules. Now we are starting with the schedules of the act. If you are liking this video, then please do like a video. That will definitely motivate me to put more English revision videos, and I'm sure you are liking our content or our concept book as well. Before going ahead with the schedules, there are two things which I want you to know. First of all, about the NOCLA topic, that is non-compliance with laws and regulation. This NOCLA topics, we have covered it with our SA 250 revision video. So whenever SA 250 revision video will come, we will obviously cover it with the NOCLA, because we are going with the logical sequence. SA 250 talks about the consideration of laws and regulations and in our audit of financial statements, and NOCLA is related to that. So we are covering SA 250 along with the NOCLA. Second thing, I just wanted you to refer this diagram. So basically, this diagram is everything that I was discussing about the exemption, about the branch offices. So it says that suppose we have this dot is our first office, and this is the municipal limits of the city 1, that is the first office municipal limits. This is our second office, this dot is our second office, and this is the municipal limits of the city 2. Now the distance between the first office and its municipal limit is about, you can say, 10 kilometers. Suppose here the distance is 10 kilometers, and the distance between the second office and its municipal city limits is 10 kilometers, and the distance between both the cities municipal limits is 35 kilometers. Now we have to identify whether the exemption is applicable to this or not. So we will have to calculate from the municipal limits of the first office till the second office. So we have to calculate this distance, which comes at around 35 plus 10, which goes for 45 kilometers. And since it is within the 50 kilometers, then we don't have to hire another branch accountant. Okay, yes sir, another branch in charge. Yes sir. So let's start with the schedules to that, which are most important in the professional ethics chapter, and which we have covered in detail in with our memory technique. And this is basically our memory technique, which we will be discussing from our handwritten notes. So basically there are two schedules, first and second schedule. First schedule has 4 parts, second schedule has 3 parts. First schedule, we have a first part that is applicable on CA in practice, second part is applicable on CA in service, third and fourth part are applicable for CA generally, that is both the CAs in practice or service. Second schedule, first part is applicable for CA in practice, and rest both the parts are applicable for all CAs. And we have mentioned a number of clauses. There is one change, that there is obviously this video is covering all the amendments for January 26. So there are few changes, one new addition of clauses and one change in our clause number 9, which we will be discussing in this particular revision video. So there is one more clause added in your second schedule, second part, that is clause number 5, which we will be discussing in this particular revision video. So these are the number of clauses that we have, and these are the type of professional or other misconduct that are covered in those particular parts. Obviously you don't have to memorize this table, but you should know at least how many schedules, how many parts, how many clauses that we have, and what type of professional misconduct is covered in which type of clause, which type of part. So basically the last part of both the schedule covers the other misconduct, and the other parts cover the professional misconduct. Okay, yes sir. So professional misconduct is basically whatever we are doing in our professional capacity is known as professional misconduct, and whatever we are doing in our personal capacity, even that will be punished by ICAI, and that will be covered under our other misconduct. Okay, yes sir. Now how to present answers for clauses like professional ethics? There are specifically the way of presentation of answering the clauses. First off, of all, we have to write the clause number. Okay, so as per clause 1, part 1, first schedule, the chartered accountant will be held guilty to misconduct because of this. So we have to write the clause number and explain the clause. Sometimes this clause number carries 1 mark in at separately, and the clause carries 1 mark. So basically total 2 marks are given for clause number and explanation of the clause. Then we have to copy facts of the case from the question. In the given case, what is this, where we write from as a student's perspective, and we write with all the clarity and in detail, because this is the only thing that we know in whole question, because we just have to copy paste the question. But in the given case, I said doesn't give any marks. 0 marks are allotted for in the given case. Obviously you should write it in maximum 2 to 3 lines, but no marks are given for in the given case. Next, when we link the facts with the clause, we are given 1 marks for that. And lastly, for our conclusion, guilty, not guilty, we are given 1 mark. So basically 4 marks are divided by links. If you are ever confused, because as a student I was also confused in professional ethics, like which clause will apply where, here I think 2 more clauses can apply, and ICAI has only applied 1 clause. So I have confusion in multiple clauses. I think this clause can also apply, this clause can also apply. Then what should I do in that particular situation? So if you are ever confused between multiple clauses, I will just recommend you to write all the clauses that you are confused in. Write everything that you are confused in. The thing that is given in the suggested answer, ICAI will check that particular thing in your concept book, in your certified copies, and then ICAI will give you the marks. ICAI will not cut your marks for writing extra, but ICAI will cut your marks for writing lesser. So you can write as many extra points as you can, but the points which are there in the suggested answer, if those points are there in your certified copy, then ICAI will give you marks. It doesn't matter how much you write or what extra points you have written, your marks won't be deducted for writing extra. So my basic assumption, my basic recommendation for you is not to get confused when it will come clause 6, when clause 7 will come, when clause 8 will come. It doesn't matter. If you think that here clause 6 can also apply and clause 7 can also apply, you can mention both the clauses in the answer and you will get full marks. Don't worry about it. Okay, yes sir. So this was the basic or the most rhetorical asked question, most confusing question that the students always ask in professional ethics, that I am thinking this clause can also apply and this clause can also apply. Which clause should we apply? So you can apply both the clauses. Don't worry about it. Okay, yes sir. Now let's first start with our first schedule, and in this we are starting with the first part, which talks about the professional misconduct for CA in practice. CIP is CA in practice. So it says the intro line that we always have to use with the particular clause, where particular part 1 first schedule clauses are: CA in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, here CA in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he. Now here are the lines which will consider CA in practice as a guilty. So there are basically 12 clauses. Now how we will have to learn these 12 clauses, because clause number also carries marks. So here is the memory technique that you have to that will help you to learn all the clauses sequence wise, number wise. So what it says is first and 12th clauses we will be doing together because they are related to each other. First clause of schedule 1 part 1 and 12th clause of schedule 1 part 1. First clause says that we cannot allow anyone to practice in our name, and 12th clause says that we cannot allow anyone to sign in our name. Except obviously here we have given some few pointers, few exceptions, few regulations that is applicable in each particular clause. But obviously we will be discussing in detail in this detailed revision video. But for your quick overview, I have given it here. So this whatever I am referring it here, this is our handwritten notes, and I usually don't give my handwritten notes because I recommend students to write on their own. But considering you have your exams in your January 26th, since I'm recording this video now, so this handwritten notes will be provided to you through our Telegram channel. I request you to join our Telegram channel, because on Telegram channel there are many resources which are available for you and which will be provided to you in future as well. So please join our Telegram channel, join my Telegram channel. The link will be provided in the description and in the pinned comments. Okay, yes sir. So what I was saying is the clause 1 talks about here. The clause 1 talks about that we cannot allow anyone to practice in our name. We cannot allow anyone to sign in our name. Second, now we are starting with the memory technique, that is from 2nd clause to 11th clause. It says don't give, don't take. What sir? Don't give, don't take, don't enter into partnership. Don't give, don't take, don't enter into partnership. No secure, no solicit, no add. No secure, no solicit, no add. Ad means advertisements. So basically वापस से again, don't give, don't take, don't enter into partnership, no secure, no solicit, no add. Communicate with the previous auditor about section 139 and 141. Communicate with the previous auditor about section 139 141. No fees on percentage basis, no and other businesses. So there are no everywhere, and don't in the starting. So basically I am repeating it again. First of all, it says you cannot allow anyone to practice in your name, you cannot allow anyone to sign in your name. Now comes the second clause, that is don't give, don't take, don't enter into partnership. Okay, speak with me. Don't give, don't take, don't enter into partnership. No secure, no solicit, no advertisement. No secure, no solicit, no advertisement. Communicate with the previous auditor about what? About section 139 to 141. Don't charge fees on percentage basis. Don't enter into another business. So this was the line-wise clauses of what basically the crux of the clauses that it talks about. Now we will discuss all the clauses in detail. So obviously the first clause was that we can't allow anyone to practice in our name. So it says that the CA in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he allows anyone to practice in his name. If we allow anyone to practice in our name, then we are deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. But obviously we can allow CA in practice who is our partner. If our partner is CA in practice, we can allow him to practice on our name. If our employee is CA in practice, then we can allow him to practice in our name. If our employee is not a CA in practice, can we allow? No. If our employee is not a CA in practice, can we allow? No. Sir, how can an employee be a CA in practice? So basically, employee of a chartered accountant firm can take COP. ICAI has allowed employees of the firm to take COP. So if the employee has taken COP, then he can practice in our name. We can allow him to practice in our name. Okay? Yes, sir. So keep in mind there are two conditions to it. The partner should be CA in practice and the employee should be in CA in practice. Then you can allow. Then it is allowed. Then no problem. Otherwise, if the partner is not CA in practice and if you have allowed him to practice in your name, then you will be guilty of professional misconduct. Okay? Yes, sir. This part 1 is only applicable for CA in practice. Keep in mind that. Okay, if you are a CA in service and if you are allowing someone to practice also, basically if you are a CA in service, you cannot be a CA in practice. Okay? Yes, sir. So this why this clause was introduced, because this clause safeguards the public against unqualified accountants, because there were many people who were not CAs but they were practicing in the name of CAs. So to safeguard the public against such unqualified accountant, this clause was applicable. Okay? Yes, sir. This line is also to be mentioned in your answer. That's why I have mentioned this. Everything that is exam relevant, exam oriented, carries marks is in our concept book. Don't worry about it. Okay? Yes, sir. Clause number 12 says that we cannot allow anyone to sign on our name. So it says that CA in practice will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he allows any person. If you allow any person to sign on your name, to sign on your behalf or on the behalf of your firm, anything, any balance sheet, any profit and loss account, any report where you're giving any professional opinion or any financial statements, then you will be guilty of professional misconduct. But if you allow any person who is a partner and a CA in practice, then it is allowed. So basically, if your partner is a CA in practice, then you can allow him to sign on your name on behalf of your name or on behalf of your firm name. Otherwise, if the partner is not a CA in practice, then you cannot allow him. If your employee is a CA in practice, you cannot allow him. You can only allow your partner and CA in practice, who is a CA in practice, to sign in your name. So basically, in the practice, you can allow your partner plus CA in practice, employee plus CA in practice, but while signing, you can only allow your partner and CA in practice. Okay? Yes, sir. So it says that obviously it has a regulation that power to sign routine documents. So there are many routine documents which are required in everyday offices. So these routine documents on which professional opinion or authentication is not expressed are permitted to be delegated. So basically routine documents can be signed by anyone. Even the articles can sign your routine documents, but those documents on which you are expressing any professional opinion, those documents cannot be signed by anyone. Either you can sign it or your partner who is a CA in practice can only sign it. Okay? Yes, sir. Now, sir, what are the routine documents? You have to read this and understand this, because ICAI can pick up few circumstances from this, and one circumstance from outside, like it may say that okay, these are the things that CA is delegated to sign, and the other thing, CA is delegated to sign the balance sheet. Will the CA be guilty? Yes, sir, CA will be guilty. Here for these all, it will not be guilty. He will not be guilty. But for allowing to sign the balance sheet, he will be guilty. So obviously you should know the list, like what are the routine documents that are allowed to be signed by the articles or our employees as well. Okay, yes sir. What are the documents? The first one, issue of audit queries. During the query, you are in audit queries during the audit. During the audit, you are issuing any audit query, you can sign that. Asking for information or issue of questionnaire. Letter forwarding draft observations of financial statements. If you are forwarding draft financial statements, then it's allowed. Then no worries. Initiating and stamping of vouchers and schedules prepared for the audit. Acknowledging and carrying on routine correspondence with the client, routine communication with the client, you can do it, no doubt about it. Issue of memorandum of cash verification is allowed. Physical verification memorandum issue is allowed. Recording results in books of clients is allowed. Okay, your article can also do it. Issuing acknowledgements for records produced allowed. Raising of bills and issuing acknowledgements for money receipts allowed. Attending to routine matters in tax practice apart from section 288 allowed. And last, any other matter of office administration or routine work or practice. So basically any other routine work, office admin work can be done by your articles. It doesn't matter if you are signing or not. Okay, yes sir. But if you are signing any certificate, then the certificate is not a routine work and it cannot be delegated. Only you can sign it or your partner CA in practice can sign it. If the authority to sign documents is delegated but the sign is not actually done, then also you are guilty of professional misconduct. So basically I have delegated the authority to my article to sign the balance sheet. The article haven't actually signed the balance sheet, then also I will be guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, yes sir. Chaliye, let's next discuss about the clause number 2. Don't give, don't take. What we don't have to give, we don't have to pay, or we don't have to agree to pay. If we are only agreeing to paying and we are not actually paying, then also we will be guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, yes sir. So we don't have to pay or agree to pay either directly or indirectly. Any share, commission or brokerage, any share, any commission, any brokerage in fees or profits of a professional business. Our fees, our profits, I cannot share with you my fees or my professional profits. To anyone, I cannot share my professional fees and professional profits and fees to anyone other than. So basically we can share our fees with whom? To any CA, be it CA in practice, be it CA in service. I can give my fees and profits to any other CAs, to any other partner, whether CA or not, doesn't matter. To any CA, to any partner, to my retired partner, to the legal representative of the deceased partner, or the member of those professional bodies or having those qualifications which are prescribed or for providing professional services in or outside India. So basically it is saying that you cannot share part of your profits to anyone other than these people. If you are sharing to these people, then it's allowed, otherwise it's not allowed. Now what are the persons or what are the professional bodies that have been allowed? That is given in our regulation 53A. So regulation 53A mentions that the qualifications that are prescribed, so to these persons we can share our part of profits. Who are those persons, sir? The first one is company secretary from Institute of Company Secretary of India. This is also important. Otherwise in the question it will give that they are company secretary but they are not from Institute of Company Secretary of India. They have their own institutes and they are calling themselves a company secretary. Can we share a profits, a part of profits to them? No sir, we cannot share them part of profits. So the thing is also important. The professional body is also important. So company secretary from Institute of Company Secretary of India, cost and management accountant from Institute of Cost and Works Accountant of India, actuary from Institute of Actuaries of India, bachelor in engineering, bachelor in technology, bachelor in architect, bachelor in law from a university or institute recognized by law. If the university or institute is not recognized by law, then we cannot share a part of profits. Okay, yes sir. Architect from Indian Institute of Architects, advocate from Bar Council of India, MBA from any university established by law or from any technical institution recognized by All India Council for Technical Education. If MBA is from a local university, we cannot share part of profits. CA, if CA is giving percentage of audit fees from cooperative societies to the central government, then it is allowed. It is this particular case that is allowed by the council. Next, if CA is giving percentage of fees as an office allowance, then not allowed. Okay, so you have told me not to give part of profits. Now I'm not giving part of profits, I'm giving office allowance, but that office allowance is linked as a percentage of my fees. Can I give it as an office allowance? No sir, because here substance over nomenclature, substance over form, you would have read this in your childhood, substance over nomenclature, so it will not be allowed. CA giving percentage of fees to poor article, this article is very poor, I am giving my percentage of fees to him. Can I give him? No, not allowed. Okay, yes sir. Now the share of profits or sale of goodwill. We will talk about the sale of goodwill. So it says that there are two different cases. One is partnership firm and another is proprietorship firm. So in case of partnership firm, the legal representative of the deceased partner can continue to receive the share of the firm. So basically the firm, the partners of the firm have died and the firm's goodwill have been sold to another CA, and the legal representative of the partners whose firm has whose partners have died, the firm whose partners has died, the legal representative can continue to receive the share of profits from the firm. Remember this is only allowed in case of partnership firm, and this is only allowed if the deed provides so. If the partnership deed provides so, then it can allow. And this is also applicable even when all partners die at the same time. Even when you are selling the goodwill to any other CA which is not your partner, this will be applicable. Means the legal representative can continue to share part of profits with the new partner who the purchase of goodwill as well. Okay, yes sir, this is only allowed in case of partnership firm, but in case of proprietorship firm, no sharing of fees is allowed. The legal representative and the purchaser of goodwill on the debt of the proprietor cannot share the fees. However, the payment of goodwill can be made in installments if the sale agreement provides so, that the goodwill payment will be made in installments, then the payment can be made in installments, but sharing of profits is not allowed. Okay, yes, and the goodwill can be sold or transferred to another CA if the sale is completed within 1 year of the death of the partner. As soon as the partner dies, within 1 year, you can sell the goodwill or transfer the goodwill as per your wish. The name of the firm will be kept in abeyance. Abeyance means the name of the firm will not be removed from the register of the firms that is maintained by the ICAI, only up to 1 year from the death. So within 1 year from the death, you have to sell the goodwill to the goodwill to any other CA, and you will have to inform ICAI that you have sold the goodwill. Okay, yes sir. The legal heir has to obtain the permission of the council within 1 year of the death. Within 1 year of the death, obtain the permission of the council, sell the goodwill, and inform the ICAI. What if there is a dispute between the legal heir? Then you have to inform ICAI about this dispute within 1 year from the death, and then after the dispute settlement, within 1 year you will have to sell the goodwill. So basically everywhere there is a limit of 1 year. You have to do your work within the 1 year. Now in the question, if directly sale of goodwill word is not mentioned, then selling practice, right to use firm name is sold. This is equal to sale of goodwill. Next, clause number 3, don't give, don't take. So we don't have to take any part of profits from other persons as well. So it says that the CA in practice will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he accepts or agrees to accept. If we are agreeing to accepting but not actually accepting, then also we will be guilty of professional misconduct. So accept or agree to accept part of profit of professional works from any non-CA. Exception, regulation 53A again. So from these persons we can give our share of profits. From these persons we can accept the share of profits as well. Okay, obviously from a non-CA means we can accept a referral fees from a CA in practice. Registered valuer who is a non-CA is not an exception. Means if a registered valuer is there who is not a CA, then we cannot accept a part of profits from him. Okay, yes sir. Clause number 4, don't enter into partnership. No, don't give, don't take, don't enter into partnership. So it says that the CA in practice will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he enters into partnership in or outside India with any person. If you are enter into partnership with any person, then you will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. But obviously you can enter into partnership with a CA in practice, secondly, or the member of any professional body having such qualification as may be prescribed, or with any other person who is recognized by CG or council. So it says that the same qualifications that we have discussed earlier are prescribed. So basically with the same people we can share profits as well, we can give and we can take as well, and from with same people we can enter into partnership as well, which is, so here basically the regulation number is changed. The qualification is prescribed in regulation 53B, but these are the same as regulation 53A. Only 3 changes are there, that is MBA, BTech and B-Law. So with these 3 people we can share part of profits, we can give and take as well, but we cannot enter into partnership with NPA, BTech and B-Law. Yes sir, yes sir, chaliye. And next it says that the CA in practice cannot form multidisciplinary partnership until the regulators of the other professions also permit partnership with the CAs. So suppose we want to enter partnership with advocate, and the advocate professional institute is Bar Council of India. So if the Bar Council of India allows their advocates to come into partnership with CAs, then only the ICAI is allowing the CAs to be in partnership with advocate. Okay, yes sir, chaliye. So next, 5th clause is 5th, 6th, 7 is no secure, no solicit, no advocate. advertisement. Fifth clause talks about that the CA in practice will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if it secures any professional business either from a non-employee or from non-partner or by any means which is not open to CA. So we cannot secure any business through a person who is not our employee, not our partner, or through any other means which is not allowed to CA in practice. Okay, yes sir. And the acts of partners and the employees will also be subject to clause number 6 and 7. So our acts, our employees and our partners can also not solicit and not advertise on our behalf. Okay, yes sir. Now clause 6 talks about no solicitation. So it says that the CA in practice will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he solicits means you are asking for work. So if you are asking for work, asking for client directly or indirectly by CAIP or by any other means, then you will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Sir, by CIP means for C it's circular, advertisement, interview or personal communication. For with this you can remember the 4 words CAIP. That is, by circular you are soliciting clients, by advertisement you are soliciting clients, by interview you are soliciting clients, or by personal communication you are soliciting clients, then it's not allowed. Okay, yes sir. Obviously there is an exception, then you can secure your professional work from another CA in practice. You can call another CA in practice and tell you to give some work. Secondly, you can respond to tenders or inquiries. If there are tenders which government floats, or if there is an inquiry by the client, then you can respond to the inquiry, but you cannot ask the client for some work. Okay, yes sir. Obviously here is a one condition, that CIP shall not respond to tender or inquiries for services that are exclusively reserved for chartered accountant. Now what are the services that are exclusively reserved for chartered accountant? Only one service, that is statutory audit service. So if there is a company which has released its tender for statutory audit services, then we cannot respond to that tender. If that tender is open for all, like anyone can apply to that tender. Suppose a company has opened a tender for computerization of its records. So computerization of records is not exclusively reserved for CA, so we can respond to the tender. But if the company has floated a tender which is exclusively for services, which is exclusively reserved for CA, then we cannot respond to tender unless the tender itself mentions the minimum fee. If the tender mentions the minimum fee, then we can respond to the tender even when it is exclusively reserved to CAs. So either the tender should be not exclusively reserved to CAs, or if it is exclusively reserved to CAs, then it should mention minimum fee. Then we can respond to all these tenders. Okay, yes sir. And the minimum fee that is mentioned in the tender should be commensurate, should be according to the size, value, volume, manpower requirement and nature of the work. It should not be like the minimum fee mentioned is 1 rupees. The minimum fee should be of some standard. Okay, yes sir. Now there are other forms of soliciting work. The first one talks about the earnest money deposit or the security deposit that we give in the tender. So it says that it is permitted to give security deposit. However, you will have to maintain a cost sheet by the CA when you are responding to the tender, so that you will have to maintain a cost details, like based on what cost you have filled the tender. You have to mention that cost sheet, maintain that cost sheet. Otherwise ICAI can ask you to justify your tender price. So you have to justify your tender price by maintaining a cost sheet. Okay, yes sir. By involving the number, by including the number of persons that will be involved and other hours to be spent. Okay, yes sir. Next, advertisement of coaching may amount to indirect solicitation. So advertisement of coaching is also not allowed. However, you are allowed to put a signboard in front of your coaching by mentioning the name of the coaching, contact details, the subject taught only outside their coaching premises. The size and the type of the signboard is also the guidelines that are applicable to the firm. About the firm signboard is also applicable to the coaching organizations. Okay, yes sir. Now advertisement in press is also prohibited, but you are not permitted to circulate letters to possible clients. You are not obviously, okay, this is my client, I can circulate a letter to the client and ask for work. You cannot do like that. Okay, yes sir. The personal canvassing or the canvassing for the clients of previous employed through employees is also not permitted. You cannot canvass for clients. You cannot ask for clients, okay, give me client. You cannot say like that. Okay, yes sir. There are some exceptions. Obviously, CA can request another CIP for professional work. Perfect. CA advertising the changes in the partnership. So there is change in any partnership, there is dissolution of the firm, or there is change in address of the practice and the contact number. You can advertise that, provided the facts are limited and the consideration is given to appropriateness of area of distribution of newspaper or magazine and number of insertions. So it says that suppose you are transferring your office from one city inside that city from one location to another location, so you should not advertise about it in the newspapers or across all over India. You should obviously advertise about it in only the city's newspaper, firstly. And secondly, you should not give the insertion every day. Okay, every day you are advertising about the change in the place. Obviously it is 2 through 3 maximum you can give, so you should give that consideration as well. Secondly, CA is permitted to issue classified advertisement in journal or newsletter of ICAI. ICAI says in my newsletter, my journal, you can obviously give a classified advertisement in which you are giving information for sharing professional work or seeking partnership or salaried employment of accountancy nature, provided it only contains your name, your address, your contact number, your fax number, your email, your address of social networking sites, mere factual position of experience. I am having experience of 10 years. You can say that. And area of specialization. I am having 10 years of experience in statutory audit. You can say that so that you can receive response to ad are permitted. Okay, just mere factual of experience and the field of specialization is permitted. Okay, yes sir. Now application for empanelment. Okay, so many institutions, what they do is they prepare a panel of CAs for allotment of audit and other work. Okay, so if you are having knowledge that this organization is maintaining a panel, you can ask the panel to include your name. You can ask the organization to include your name in the panel. This is allowed, but you cannot make roving inquiries to the organization. What is meant by roving inquiries? So basically, you cannot ask the organization to give you work. Okay, you have entered my name in the panel, but you are not giving me work. Please give me work. You cannot ask that. Or secondly, if you are not in the knowledge that the organization is having the panel or not, then you cannot ask the organization to mention your to add your name in the panel. So basically, if you are in the knowledge that the organization is having a panel, then only you can ask the organization to put your name in the panel. Otherwise, you cannot ask organization to do anything. Either your name, either adding your name in the panel, or for work, you cannot do that. Otherwise, you will be considered as making roving inquiries, and making roving inquiries will make you guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, yes sir. And if you are added in a panel and the organization is asking you to quote your fees and your services and your experience, then you can respond to them by quoting your fees on inquiries received from such organization. Okay, yes sir, this is important. ICAI can frame a very good question out of this. Next, let's talk about publication of books, articles, or presentation. You are prohibited to mention in his book or article or presentation any professional attainment, whether your or your firm's. However, he may indicate designation CA with name of the firm. You can mention name of the firm in your books, article, presentation. Okay, yes sir. Issue of greeting cards or invitation. You are not permitted to issue any invitation or greeting card indicating that you are a CA professional designation, your status, your qualification, etc. However, designation CA and name of firm can be used in greeting cards. Designation CA and name of firm can be used in greeting cards, invitations for marriages, religious ceremonies, and invitation for inauguration of his office, change in office premises, change in contact number, provided they are sent only to 3 persons: clients, relatives, friends of the member concerned. So basically, suppose I have my marriage and I'm making its invitation card, and in the invitation card I'm writing CA Ankush Chirimar. This invitation card can only be sent to 3 types of people. It should be my client or existing client, not prospective or ex-client, existing client, relative, or friends. I cannot send this invitation card to my partners, clients, relatives, or friends. It should be the client, relative, and friend should be of the member concerned, not of the partners. And the advertisement is not permitted for the above. I can only send the invitations or greeting cards. Okay, yes sir. Next, advertisement for silver, golden, platinum, sanitary celebration. We are not permitted to advertise events organized by the firm. However, advertisement for above may be published in newspaper or newsletter. We cannot promote, we can just post an advertisement in newspaper or newsletter. Okay, yes sir. Now talks about sponsoring activities. Can we give sponsorship? So it says that we are not permitted to sponsor any event. However, we are permitted to sponsor the event which are organized by ICAI. So basically, which are conducted by the program organizing unit of ICAI, which has a prior approval of Continuing Professional Education Directorate. Those programs and events we can sponsor. And the CAs which are sponsoring the CSR activities may mention their individual name with the prefix CA. Like when I'm doing CSR, I can mention CA Ankush Chirimar. However, the mention of the firm name or CA logo is not permitted. We should not mention the firm name and CA logo. Okay, yes sir. Sharing firm profile with the prospective client. If there is a prospective client and I'm sharing my firm profile with the client, like I have this firm, I have this much of experience, and I'm doing the services, this is not allowed unless a client has already asked us to share the firm profile. We cannot ourselves share the firm profile. If the client has asked us to share the firm profile, then only we can share the firm profile. Okay, yes sir. TV or movie credits, ensure that our name or firm's name is not differently made compared to the other entries in the credits. So basically, after movie, after any TV show, you might have heard, okay, producer, director, movie credits and all and everything, name, spot boys, and every name is being shown in the movie. So in that name, our name can be displayed, our firm name can be displayed, but it should not be made differently compared to other. Our name should not be very highlighted, bold, in a bigger size compared to other name. It should come as any other name that is coming in the movie credits. Okay, yes sir. Next, soliciting professional work by roving inquiries. Obviously, you cannot make roving inquiries. You cannot ask people for work. Not permitted to address. You cannot address letters, emails, circulars specifically to persons who are likely to require services of CA. You think that the person is setting up new office, he might require my services, so I can send my letter. No, you cannot send your letter. He should specifically come to you to ask for your services, and then you can discuss your services with him. Okay, yes sir. So basically, in a nutshell, you are not allowed as a CA to advertise yourself. Next. So in next is auditor's representation under section 144. This is also an important question. So basically it says that suppose a member of the company says that we want to remove the CA, the auditor that we have currently, and we want to hire a new auditor. So the company will ask you to make a representation that you want to be sent to all the members prior to the meeting, and that representation will obviously be read in the meeting as well. So this representation is called auditor's representation under section 144. So what things can be included and what things cannot be included in the auditor's representation is given here. It says that the wording of this representation should be such that it does not amount to soliciting for his continuance as an auditor. In the wording of representation should not be such that you are saying that, okay, please hire me as an auditor, please keep me as an auditor only, please don't remove me as an auditor. You cannot use this wording, and you cannot use such wording which are securing needless publicity. So basically, you cannot publicize yourself. You cannot just downgrade the company and its work and everything, work ethics and everything. You just have to be very gentle, very humble in your representation. You cannot say that, okay, I am a very good chartered accountant, I have strengthened the internal control system of the company. You cannot say like that. You should merely set out in a dignified manner that you are acting independently, that you are acting conscientiously, and you may indicate that you are ready, you are willing to continue as an auditor if the firm, if the company, if the members reappoint you as an auditor of the company. You can just say that, yes, I am willing to continue as an auditor. You cannot say that, okay, please reappoint me as an auditor. No, you can just say that I am willing to continue as an auditor. Okay, and you can just say that I am acting independently. You cannot say that I have strengthened the internal control system of the company and I have identified all the frauds and errors in the company. You cannot say that. Okay, yes sir, chaliye. Next, okay, so there is a client which is introduced to you by your another CA. So there is your friend who have introduced a client to you by he has introduced the client to you, and the client afterwards, after the party or after the introduction, the client comes directly to you and asks to do a work which is originally being done by the other CA who has introduced the client to you. Then you cannot accept that work. Otherwise, the CAs will have trust issues if you are doing this. So basically, if there is a client which I have introduced to my friend cannot accept the same work which I am doing of this client. If the client goes to the CA for taking up this work, then the CA, the other friend, should tell the client to come through me. I should know that my client is going to that particular CA to whom I have introduced my client. Okay, so this is saying, suppose there is A, there is B, and there is this client. So A has introduced this client to B. Now this client is coming directly to B for, suppose, statutory audit services, and previously this statutory audit services was given by A. Then can CAB directly accept this statutory audit services? No. He should say to the client that, client, please come through CAA, then only can I accept your services. Okay, this is the one situation. Second situation. So A is giving services statutory audit, and the C is coming to me for tax audit. Can I accept now these services? Yes, I can accept the services. Why? Because this work is not being originally done by the another CA. Okay, yes sir. So this is also given that we cannot accept such client. If the client comes to us directly, then we should ask the client to come through the another CA dealing with his original work. If he was dealing with the original work, then we should ask the client to come through the another CA. Giving public interviews, ensure that such interviews are not highlighting our professional attainments. Any detail that we are giving, we should be in response to a specific question and should be factual nature only. We should not say that we are the best audit firm in the India. We cannot say that. Okay, yes sir. Ads under box numbers in newspapers prohibited. We cannot give ads under box numbers in the newspapers. Educational videos. You may upload an educational video on the internet, but no reference should be made to the firm wherein the partner or where you are partner or proprietor. Also, you should not mention contact detail or website address. This was asked in recent RTP and MTP of January 26. Next. CA wrote letters to army canteens in which he is giving details about his and his experience, his partner or office or norms and charging for audit fees. These are all guilty. You cannot write any letter to anyone, be it army canteens or be it anyone. So you will be guilty under clause 5 and clause 6. CA sent letters to other CAs claim to be pioneer, that I am a pioneer in liaising with the government departments and I am an expertise for getting clearances. Can we give any letter? Can we send any letters like this to other CAs? No, you cannot give letter to any like this to any other CAs. You can ask for work, but you cannot give letters like this to any other CA. So you are guilty under clause 6. Okay. Yes, sir. Now another important question about websites of CA firm. What all important things that we have to understand is the standard format of the website is not given to provide independence to the members. You can use any colors, any flashy headlines, any flashy designs you can use on your websites. Doesn't matter about it. So ICAI has not restricted you to using any standard format, any standard color. You can use any color, any design. It is allowed. Okay. Yes, sir. Secondly, you should ensure that the website run on pull model and not push model. So the website should not be on push model. It should be on the pull model. Only when the person types your website address, then he can enter your website or he can log in into your website. Okay. Yes, sir. Ensure that none of the information that is contained in the website is circulated except on a specific pull request. So basically pull request is basically when the person himself wants to know about your website or enters your website address, then only he can access your website. Otherwise he is not seeing any ads of your website to go on your website and check out your website. There should not be any ads. Okay. Yes, sir. We should not issue any circular or any advertisement to solicit people to visit on our website. We are permitted to mention the website address on our professional stationery and email. We can mention the website address only. Okay. Yes, sir. Now, what all information are allowed to be mentioned on the website? Following information are allowed to be displayed on the website: our member, trade, firm name, our year of establishment, our members या फिर firms address, both head office and branches, telephone number, fax number, email ID, the nature of services that we are rendering only on specific pull requests. This we can mention on website, but there should be a tab where there should be written services, and when the visitor clicks on that tab, then only he gets to know the nature of services that you are rendering. About partner, you can mention the name, year of qualification, mobile, email. These you can mention on the face of your website, but area of qualification of the particular partner should be on a specific pull request only. Next, details of employee, you can mention the name, designation of the employee, but area of experience of the employee should be on a specific pull request only. Job vacancies for CAs including articleship you can mention. Number of article assistants should be on specific pull request. Nature of assignment handles should be on specific pull request. Name of the client or fees charge cannot be given by. This is a very confidential information. You cannot write on the website about the names of the client and the fees that you have charged from the client. However, there is an exception to this, that disclosure of names of clients and fees charge is permitted only if required by the regulator. If required by the regulator, then only you can give the name of the client or the fees charge, provided the disclosure that you are providing on your website is only to the extent of requirement and is made only till the member works under such regulation or such requirements are in force. So basically you have to disclose only that till that extent till the regulation requires, and only till that time till the regulation requires. Okay. Yes, sir. If such disclosure is made, then you have to also mention on the website in italics below such disclosure that this disclosure is in terms of the requirement of the name of the regulator, having jurisdiction in the name of the country, which rule number, which disclosure is required by the regulator. So you have to mention three things: the name of the regulator, the jurisdiction of the regulator, and the rule number through which you are disclosing this on your website. Okay, so that the readers know that you are disclosing it because of a regulatory requirement. Okay. Yes, sir. Next, you can set a smartphone style photograph on your website, but you cannot set a framed photo on your website. Members can include articles, professional photo information, bulletin boards, professional publication, and any matters of professional interest on the website. Educational videos on topics of professionals are also permitted. Chat rooms can be provided to permit chatting amongst the CAs between the firms and between the clients, but confidentiality should be observed. Firms can provide document management facility with login ID and password to client to access their copies of their documents on firm's website. Firm can provide provide link of its social networking site. Link of social networking site is allowed to be provided on the website. However, it should not solicit people to visit or like their page on social networking site. We cannot write on the website that like, comment and share, but I can obviously say in my YouTube video, if you are liking this video, then please do give a like and comment CA and your name, so that you make a manifestation that you are definitely going to clear CA in your next attempt. Next, okay. Member of firm can provide online advice to their clients who specifically request for their advice. Details in website should be designed so that we are not soliciting the professional work. Website should ensure secrecy of matters. We should keep the matter secret, not publicly. And no ad in any nature will be permitted on the website. As soon as we click on the website, we are seeing many other ads of any other Google ads basically. So we should not see any ads on your firm's website. Next, website should be as per the profession of the CAs and should not be of anything that is defaming the institute. Website link should be provided to the website may provide link to the website of ICAI, regional council, branches, government or a regulatory authority or other professional bodies. Website address should be near as possible to individual trade name or firm name, but it should not be soliciting professional work. You should not keep your website as bestcafirm.com, bestauditfirm.com, bestinIndia.com. You cannot keep like that. Suppose my firm name is Ankush Chirimar and Company, so I can keep the website name as ankushchirimar.com. Okay, yes sir. So website should be mentioned. Website should mention information which is not at material variance from the information in ICAI's record. So basically, suppose ICAI has a record that your employees are 12. And you have mentioned in your website that your employees are 24, so you should not mention anything that is at material variance from the information that is in your ICAI records. Okay, yes sir. And lastly, the website should be informed to ICAI annually. We have to inform about our website to the ICAI. Next, we talk about online third-party platform. So it says that if there are non-CAs firm who have set up their own website which are providing the advisory services which are provided by the CAs, then we can only provide consultancy and advice through such a website as a chartered accountant, with the condition that the contract address of any chartered accountant should not be provided and it should not advertise the professional achievements of the chartered accountant, except we can also only state that we are a chartered accountant, and the name of the firm with suffix CA would not be permitted. Okay. Yes sir. Next, publication of the name or the firm name in the telephone or other directories that are published by the telephone authorities or private bodies. Then we can enter our name also as a chartered accountant in this telephone directories. The entry should not appear in any other section except that of a CA. We can only mention it in CA's category. Next, member of firm should belong to the city for which directory is being published. I am a member. I am residing in Mumbai and I am publishing my name in the directory of Delhi. That is not allowed. The order of entry should not be in any other matter only other than alphabetical. The order of entry should only be in alphabetical. The entry should not be in prominent manner giving impression of publicity. Like all other entries, my entry should be made. Entry should be open to all CAs of firm in particular city where directory is published. And lastly, the members can include their names in their trade and social directories as well. Okay, yes sir. Next, we talk about the application-based service provider aggregator. We are not permitted as a CA to list ourselves on those platforms on which other businessmen or all the other craftsmen are also listed, like Urban Clap, Urban Company. We cannot mention our name there, but obviously we are permitted to be mentioned. We are permitted to be included in the GEM portal. eGEM portal is basically a portal that is registered, that is run by government, and in which it is mandatory for us to get registered on the portal if we want to get hired for any government services. That's why it is permitted for yourself to mention to be a member of a GEM portal, but obviously we cannot list ourselves on an application based service provider aggregator. Okay, yes sir. Next, specialized directories for limited circulation. Name, description, address of the member of firm may appear in the directory or list of members of the particular body in which the names are listed alphabetically. Name should be listed alphabetically. Secondly, in addition, the member directorships that we are holding, the personal details, and we may also state his outside interest. He should not give the names of his clients. Obviously, the name of the client should not be given in any specialized directories also. Yes sir. Okay, now let's talk about the exemption. Exemption for publication of name or address of the member. We can mention our name, we can give our address of the member of the firm, or we can give our description as CA in those advertisements in which, in the following circumstances, provided the advertisement is not displayed prominently than usual for such advertisements, or name of the member of the firm with designation CA should not appear bolder than any other advertisement or description. So basically we can advertise for these cases, but the advertisement should be generally as made for these advertisements. We should not highlight these advertisements more often. Okay, yes sir. So we can advertise for recruiting the staff in our own members office. We can advertise inserted on behalf of the client for acquiring the staff or to acquire or dispose of property or business. So basically we are advertising on the behalf of our client, so we can give our name and we give our contact address as well. And lastly, advertisement for sale of business or property by CA acting in professional capacity as a trustee, liquidator or receiver. You can mention your name, address and your CA firm name. Okay, yes sir. When you're advertising for staff or article assistants, you should avoid the expression that we are a well-known firm. The ad should not contain any promotional element or any of the services that are offered by the CA are superior to those by any other CAs. So basically you can just mention your experience, your field of expertise, but you cannot say that we are a well-known firm, we are providing a much superior services than other CAs. That is not allowed. This was our clause number 6. Now let's talk about clause number 7. No advertisement. So it says that the CA in practice should be guilty of misconduct if he advertises his professional attainments or services or uses any designation other than the CA on professional documents, visiting card, letterhead or signboards, unless it is either a degree of university established by law in India or it is recognized by CG Council. So you cannot use any other designation other than CA other than the degree of university or recognized by CG or Council. Okay, yes sir. So it says that the CA in practice may advertise through write-up. You can fill a write-up and then you can advertise through the write-up stating what services are you providing and what are the particulars of the firm, subject to the following condition. These are the guidelines. First of all, you cannot make any exaggerated claims for the services offered or any qualification or experience that we are the best firm in the CA in the India. Next, you cannot make any disparaging references to work of others, that is downgrading references you cannot make to the work of others. Third, it should not be of any nature that may bring disrepute to the institute, defame to, you cannot defame ICAI basically. So these 3 words were also covered in our professional behavior fundamental principles. Okay, yes sir. Next, it should not contain testimonials or endorsements or names of the client. Both you cannot give past client's name as well or any fees charged from the client. It cannot contain any information about the achievements that you have received or any position or any accreditation that you have received. If it is an award given by the CGSG or regulatory body, you can mention that award in your write-up. Okay, yes sir. Any monogram of any kind or use of catchworks is not permitted. Best, mission, vision, anything is not permitted. Membership number and firm registration number should be mentioned. The font size should not be more than 14. The font size should not be more than 14. This can be asked in MCQ, and it should not be violative of CA Acts, guidelines, code of ethics or any other guideline. Okay, yes sir. Now, date of setting up practice of firm, it is not permitted to be mentioned on letterheads or professional documents. Only one thing is allowed, that is year of establishment, and only on the mention on the website of the CA firm. Okay, yes sir. Date of setting up practice is not allowed. Next, practice as advocate. CA in practice, if you want, they can practice as advocate if permitted by the bar council, but in such case they can use designation as CA only when they are practicing as a CA, and they should use a designation as advocate when they are practicing as an advocate. They should not use the CA and advocate designation simultaneously. Same is the case with CS and CMA as well. CA in practice can practice as CS and CMA. However, they should not use their designation simultaneously with the CA. If the permitted, if CA in practice is also permitted by the to hold the CO certificate of practice of our sister institutes like the CS and the CMA, then then it will be considered, then the member will obviously considered as a full-time in practice. So if we are a CA in practice and if we are holding the certificate of practice of Institute of Company Secretaries of India, and if we are doing CS in practice, if we are working as a CS in practice, then from ICAI's point of view, we will be considered CA in practice. Okay, CA in full-time practice. Okay, yes sir. Next, mention of firm name except on professional documents. You are not permitted to mention your firm name except on any professional document. Except professional document, you cannot mention your firm name anywhere using the designation CA except on professional documents, visiting card, letterheads or signboards, and or under clause 6. Clause 6 wherever allows, you can also obviously mention. Notice in press related to success in examination. So basically your article secures a rank and you want to give a notice in press that see, our article has got a rank and we provided all the support and we provided this much stipend to the article and we provided this much leaves to the article, you can give an advertisement, but basically it should have limited details. So what all details can be asked in the shared in the press note? First of all, the candidate's name and address, the school, the local background, the examination passed with the details of any prize, name of the principal, firm name, and the town in which the principal practices may be published. Just this much, not any more than that. Okay, yes sir. Next, reports and certificate. Ensure that any reports and certificates that you are publishing are limited. The publication should be limited, and you should use the letterhead of your firm for issuing the reports and certificates. Obviously, you should not publicize. Okay, so you have issued a certificate to your firm to your article for being an article of the quarter, and then you are publicizing it in whole India. That should not be the case. Okay, yes sir. Next, appearance of CAs on electronic media including internet. So if you want to appear on TV, films, internet, radio, you want to give lectures, you want to give anything, you can do. You can give your name, you can give your firm name as well, you can describe yourselves as a CA as well. Special qualifications or knowledge that are directly relevant to that particular matter, subject matter of the program can also be given. However, you cannot make any exaggerated claim or any kind of comparison is not permitted. Okay, yes sir. Second, publicity is permitted for positions of local or national importance. So suppose if you are an MP, MLA, Prime Minister, President, then if you are a President or a Prime Minister or Finance Minister and you are publicizing about the ICAI that I am a member of CA, then more students will be pursued or more students will be motivated to pursue CA. So that's why it is here written that you have to mention the membership number of the ICAI is desirable. CA should aim to achieve publicity for ICAI. You should aim to achieve the publicity for ICAI. Member who are giving talks, lectures or attending conferences shall describe themselves as CA only when you are attending them at a CA in your CA capacity. However, reference to the firm should not be given. So basically what these are saying is, if you are appearing on a electronic media, on TV, films, internet, radio, then you can mention your firm name. But if you are attending the seminar, if you are giving talks, lectures in a physical seminar, then you cannot mention the firm name. Okay, this is the difference, please remember it. Okay, next, organizing training seminars for your staff. CA in practice can also invite another CA's ka staff or client CA's ka staff to attend the same. However, undue importance should not be given to the name of the CA in any of the brochure that is submitted that is circulated to the attendees. Next, writing articles or letters to the press on subjects which are committed to the profession, it is permitted, and you can also give the names and use description CA Ankush Chirimar. Okay, yes sir. Size of the signboard for office, use of glow signboards or the lights on large size signboards as is used by the traders, manufacturers, in which there are glowy, flashy signboards is not allowed. You should use a professional, decent signboard in front of your firm. Okay, yes sir. Next, prospectus, public announcement with detail of the director. CA should ensure that in company in which you are a director, as a director in which you are in a company in which you are a director, if the company is issuing any prospectus or public announcement, then you have to ensure that the announcement do not advertise your professional attainments, they do not amount to solicitation of professional work. You can use the word CA. However, your expertise, specialization, knowledge in any particular field should not be published. The particulars about the directorships you are holding can be also be given. However, but the name of the firm in which he is a partner should not be given. Okay, yes sir. Use of logo. Can I use any other logo? No, you cannot use any other logo. You can only use one logo, that is CA India logo, which we will be discussing in this particular chapter only. Okay, yes sir. QR code on visiting card. Can we mention QR code on visiting card? Definitely it is permitted, but if it only contains the information that is allowed to be mentioned on a visiting card. Member is allowed to print names of all the firms on personal letterhead in which he is a partner. My personal letterhead can contain all the firm's name in which I am a partner. Okay, yes sir. Next is clause number 8, that is communicate with the previous auditor about section 139, 139 to 141. So clause 8 says that we have to communicate with the previous auditor. So it says that the CA in practice will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if we accept the position as the auditor which is previously held by another chartered accountant without first communicating to him within writing. So basically, if the client is coming to us for offering us audit services, then before accepting as an auditor, we have to first communicate to the other CA, which was his auditor previously, about any objections or any concerns that he might have to raise, and then we can only accept the auditorship of the company. Okay, yes sir. So it says that when inquiring the retiring auditor is a person which has been removed as an auditor from the company. So when inquiring the retiring auditor, the proposed auditor, the auditor which wants to, the company has proposed, so the proposed auditor should find out if there are any reasons why he should not accept the assignment. It may be the case that the retiring auditor can tell us, okay, this client is not giving me fees, that's why he is hiring you as an auditor. So maybe we are cautious, okay, he is not paying fees to our to his previous CA, so we should also not accept his audit. So basically these are all the concerns that we will get to know once we will communicate with the previous auditor. So we should communicate with the previous auditor before accepting the audit of the company. So it says that the valid reasons what can be the valid reasons for accepting the audit of the company. First of all, that there is a change of venue of business and the local CA is preferred by the company, or where the partner is retired, where the partner has retired from the firm and then the client wants to change his auditor, or the partner has died, or where the temperaments of the clients and the previous auditor has clashed, or where the client has some good reasons to feel dissatisfied with the services of the previous CA, then we can obviously accept the audit of the current of the organization. But what are the invalid reasons? What are the professional reasons for not accepting the audit? We should not accept the audit for what reason, sir? First of all, the client has not complied with the section 139 and 140 of the Companies Act mentioned in the clause 9. So clause 9 says that we have to comply with section 139 to 141, and we have not complied with section 149 and 141. Then we should not accept the audit of the particular company. Secondly, the client has not paid the undisputed audit fees to the previous auditor, to the retiring auditor. So if he's not paying the audit fees of the retiring auditor, then that means he will not pay the fees of me as my fees as well. So I should not accept the audit. Okay. But here the catch is two words. First of all, the undisputed audit fees is not paid, and it is not applicable in case of sick units. So what is an undisputed audit fee, sir? So basically, when the previous auditor, the retiring auditor, and the client were in relationship with each other, were obviously the engagement with each other, then there were, in that financial statements, there was a provision for audit fees along with the out-of-pocket expenses, and that financial statements were signed by the auditor and the client as well. So that provision of audit fees which was mentioned in the financial statements is our undisputed audit fees. If that undisputed audit fees is not paid by the company to the retiring auditor, and now the company is coming to us for accepting the audit, I will not accept the audit. Okay, yes sir. And what is a sick unit? Sick unit means any unit which is registered for at least 5 years, which is in existence for at least 5 years, and which has negative net worth. What is the negative net worth? Which has at the end of any financial year, accumulated losses are greater than or equal to the net worth. Sir, in question it is given that the company is having negative net worth, but it is not given that whether 5 years have completed or not. Then what we will assume? We will always assume that the company has been in existence for 5 years. Okay, yes sir. And last case can be issuance of qualified report. The retiring auditor had issued qualified report. That's why the company is removing the retiring auditor and asking us to be an auditor. Can we accept the audit? No, we should not accept the audit. So these are the three professional reasons for not accepting the audit. Obviously, for the first two cases, the auditor who accepts the audit will be guilty of professional misconduct. Like if the company has not complied with the section 139 and 140, or there is non-payment of undisputed audit fees, still we are accepting the audit, then we will be guilty of professional misconduct. But in case of third topic, that is the issuance of qualified report, we will have to check whether who is right and who is wrong. So it says in case of third case, he may accept the audit if we are satisfied that the attitude of retiring auditor was not proper and justified. However, if we feel that the retiring auditor has qualified report for good and valid reasons, then we should refuse to accept the audit. So we should see what is the reason for qualifying the report. If the reason for qualifying the report is very good, then we should not accept the audit. If the reason for qualifying the report is very bad, then we can accept the audit. Okay, yes sir. So in third case we have to check, but in first two cases we cannot accept. Okay, yes sir. Note, if the previous auditor is unavailable to accept the payment of the undisputed audit fees, suppose the audit fees has not been paid, and I am saying the company to pay the undisputed audit fees, and after that I will accept the audit, and the company is saying that the retiring auditor is not available to pay the undisputed audit fees, I don't know where he has gone, and it is not possible to transfer the payment electronically as well, then what we will do is the incoming auditor, the proposed auditor, will advise the client, okay, client, now purchase a demand draft of the undisputed audit fees and accept the audit after verifying the same. I will accept whether the client has made the demand draft or not, and then I will accept the same, and then I will try to, as soon as possible, that the demand draft is paid to the retiring auditor. It will be the duty of incoming partner to ensure that the undisputed audit fees is paid to the retiring auditor at the earliest possibility. If the retiring auditor was not found to pay the undisputed audit fees, then we can ask the client to purchase a demand draft of the same amount. Okay, yes sir. Next, what is the correct procedure when a prospective client wants to change his auditor to you? So basically, there is a client which has come to me, and the client says that he wants to change his auditor. Now, what is the correct procedure? So we should first ask the client if the retiring auditor is informed about the intention to change. If the client says yes, we have informed the retiring auditor that we want to change the auditor, then the communication should be addressed to the retiring auditor directly. If client is not willing to take the first move, then ask him the reason why you are removing your retiring auditor. And if it is not a valid reason, then we should not accept the audit. If it is a valid reason, then we should address the communication to the retiring auditor. But before accepting, we have to communicate to the retiring auditor. After accepting, we should it should not be after accepting, it should be before accepting. Okay, yes sir. What if the retiring auditor fails to respond to the communication of the incoming auditor? We have communicated with the retiring auditor, but the retiring auditor is not responding. Then the incoming auditor can accept the appointment after waiting for a reasonable time. You should wait for a reasonable time, and if the reply is not coming to you, then you can accept the audit of the company. Okay, yes sir. Now I have communicated to the retiring auditor merely by sending a letter under certificate of posting. Is it sufficient? It is not sufficient, because we are not having any positive evidence of delivery of communication. We do not know whether the communication has been delivered to the retiring auditor or not in case of under certificate of posting. That's why it is not allowed, it is not permitted. Then you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. So what is permitted, sir? Either you can send a communication by letter, that is through registered post acknowledgement due. Secondly, by hand against written acknowledgement, you can just give by your hand, or acknowledgement should be received if you are sending through a certificate of posting, and the acknowledgement from the retiring auditor is received from the email ID that is registered with the ICAI or his last known official email address, then it is allowed. Or lastly, you can use UDIN generated through UDIN portal for communicating with the retiring auditor. Okay, yes sir. If you are communicating through these 4 means, then you are allowed, then you are permitted, then you will not be held guilty of professional misconduct. If you are communicating only through certificate of posting, then you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Okay. Next, what if the premises are found locked? I am sending a letter through a registered post acknowledgement due, but the premises are found locked, the office is found locked. Then if it is written on the acknowledgement due, then it will be deemed to be delivered to the retiring auditor, and after waiting for a reasonable time, we can accept the audit. Secondly, what if the firm is not found at the given address? One is for premises is found locked, the firm is not found on the given address. Then if the address of communication is same as the registered address with the ICAI on the date of dispatch, then the letter will be deemed to be delivered. If the letter of communication, if the address of communication is the same address that is registered with the ICAI about the retiring auditor, then then it is deemed to be delivered, unless the retiring auditor proves that it was actually it was not served and it was not responsible for his non-service. So unless the retiring auditor proves something, the letter will be deemed to be delivered. Okay, yes sir. Now, communication required for all kinds of audit. Now, this kind of communication is only required for statutory audit? No sir, it is required for statutory audit, tax audit, GST audit, all kinds of audit. This communication is required with the previous auditor. So requirement for communicating will about being CA in practice would apply to all types of audit, that is statutory audit, tax audit, GST audit, internal audit, concurrent audit, etc. This clause is applicable only for replacement position and not for parallel position. So suppose I am an internal auditor, company is asking me to be an internal auditor. Do I need to communicate with the existing statutory auditor of the company? No sir, I just need to communicate with the previous internal auditor of the company. When I am replacing someone, I need to communicate to them. I don't need to communicate to my parallel position. So statutory auditor need not to communicate to internal auditor. Internal auditor need not to communicate to statutory auditor. Okay, yes sir. What if the other professional whom I need to communicate is a non-CA, is not a chartered accountant? Then also should I need to communicate? Then it says that it is an healthy practice that you communicate to the previous auditor. Okay, so next thing, there are two special cases in this. There are government audit and there are bank and branches audit. So it says that suppose in case of government audit, government says that we have very less time for the audit, so you will send a communication and then you will wait for the reply and then you will accept our audit. It will be much too late then. So in case of government audit and the bank and branches, there is a condition given to you, there is a exception given to you, that you can give a conditional acceptance of appointment. You can give a conditional acceptance of appointment कि yes, okay, I am accepting your offer as to be as an auditor of your company, but on a condition that I have already sent that. First, what you would do is, suppose a government company is coming to you for as an auditor, to accept you as an auditor. So what you will do is, you will first send the communication to the retiring auditor, then you will give a conditional acceptance to the government audit, then you will start working with the government audit, and whenever you are receiving the reply from the retiring auditor, then you will finally decide whether you want to continue being the auditor of the government company or not. And this is obviously applicable in government audit and bank and branches audit as well. Also, yes sir, I hope you are understanding this. Okay, perfect. Chaliye. Next, joint auditor with earlier auditor. So basically, suppose A is the auditor here, and next year the company is hiring B as a joint auditor with A. So basically, B will have to also communicate with the A as a, under this clause, that communicating with the previous auditor. Okay. Special audit under income tax act. It would be healthy practice if the tax auditor is communicating with the statutory auditor. In this particular case only, special audit is being conducted, so the tax auditor should, it should be a healthy practice that the tax auditor communicate with the statutory auditor. Okay, yes sir, this was under clause number 8. Now we are doing clause number 9 about 139 to section 141. So it says that a CA in practice will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he accepts appointment as auditor of the company without first ascertaining, without first finding out, without first ensuring that the requirements of section 139 to section 141 of the Companies Act are complied with. So basically, before accepting audit of a company, we should communicate with the previous auditor, and we should ensure compliance of section 139 to 141. Okay, yes sir. Now in this case, when we have to ensure the compliance with section 139 and 141, can we just ask the management for a certificate for a written representation? Okay, management, you only write and give that you are following section 139 to 141. Why should I ensure? Can we do that? No sir. It is not sufficient for us to accept any certificate from the management that the above sections are complied with. The incoming auditor should ascertain. Ascertain word means should find out, should have sufficient and appropriate audit evidence that section 139 to 141 are being complied with, and then only you can accept the appointment of the company. Okay, yes sir. If the company is not willing to allow the incoming auditor to verify the records, then he should not accept the audit. Okay, yes sir. Now what does the section 139 to 141 says? Only this much you have to understand, rest all you don't have to understand. So it says that the first auditor of the company is appointed by the board of directors within 30 days from the date of registration of the company. Second, if board of directors is unable to appoint the first auditor, then it is appointed by the members in the general meeting. Casual vacancy is filled by the board of directors within 30 days. Remember, casual vacancy is filled by BOD within 30 days. If casual vacancy is due to resignation of auditor, then the approval should also be obtained within 3 months in general meeting from the members of the company. Okay, yes sir. However, if a CA is appointed by the board of directors and that CA is not accepting the appointment as a CA, appointment as an auditor, then it does not constitute casual vacancy and it cannot be filled by BOD. In that case, then the retiring auditor will continue to be the auditor of the company, and that new auditor will be hired in the AGM. Okay, yes sir. Chaliye, next have a discussion, resignation of the auditor, appointment by the members in the general meeting. If the auditor resigns, then the appointment by the members in the general meeting of the company. Removal of auditor before expiry of the term, then you will require a special resolution at the general meeting after obtaining prior approval of the central government by the company. So if you want to remove auditor before expiry of his term, you will need a special resolution after obtaining a previous approval of the CJ by the company. If AGM is adjourned, then the retiring auditor will continue to hold the office till the adjourned meeting is held and the business listed in the agenda of the meeting is discussed. If the new auditor is appointed at the original meeting, which is adjourned now, then the such auditor can only assume the office after the adjourned meeting is concluded. So basically, there is an original meeting, there is an adjourned meeting, so the auditor will continue till the adjourned meeting, and the new auditor that is appointed will be will continue his office, will assume his office after the adjourned meeting is concluded. Okay, yes sir. If AGM is adjourned without appointing the auditor, then no special notice for removal of auditor can be received before adjournment, क्योंकि भाई आपको the notice for removal of auditor should come before the original meeting, not before the adjourned meeting. Okay, yes sir. And lastly, the company shall inform the appointment of new auditor to the registrar in ADT1 within 15 days of appointment meeting. Within 15 days, you have to appoint to the registrar and also to the auditor about the appointment of auditor in ADT1. Okay, yes sir. Now there are few guidelines for ethical standard boards looking into cases for removal of auditors. First is that if the auditor resigns, then it should send a communication to BOD and ICAI in which he should give reasons on why he is resigning. Incoming auditor shall, before accepting the appointment, obtain the copy of such communication. So basically, if company is coming to me for audit, and I am asking why you are appointing me as an auditor. So company is saying our previous auditor is resigned. So I should ask a copy of communication which the previous auditor might have filed with the company mentioning the reasons for resigning, first of all. Secondly, if the auditor is willing to be reappointed but it is not reappointed, then they should file with the ICAI the copy of statement sent to the management for circulation among the members. So if you are willing but we are not reappointed as an auditor, then we give an auditor's representation. We discussed it in auditor's representation section 144, section 140 subsection 4, in which we can say that we are independent, we are consciously acting, we are willing to be reappointed. So that particular representation we have to send to ICAI as well, and the incoming auditor before accepting the audit should obtain that particular copy of representation as well. Okay, yes sir, from the company. The ethical standard board, if we wants, can call for further information as it may require, and above procedure is also followed in case of government and other statutory authorities. Okay, yes sir. Next we talk about clause number 10. Clause number 10 says that we don't have to charge based on percentage. We don't have to charge fees based on percentage. So it says that the CA in practice will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if it charges or offers to charge. Even if you are offering to charging but not actually charging, then also you will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. So it says that offers or charges or offers to charge any professional employment fees based on percentage of the profits or fees that is contingent upon findings. Okay, if you are giving me unmodified opinion, then only I will give you fees. So you cannot accept that audit. Okay, yes sir. So contingent upon future findings or results of employment except as permitted under regulation. So few services are permitted to be charged based on percentage. What are the few services? This exemption is given in your regulation 192. What are the exemptions, sir? First of all, receiver or regulator. If you are receiver or liquidator, you can charge based on percentage of realization or disbursement of assets. Secondly, auditor of cooperative society. Remember this, auditor of cooperative society, percentage of paid up share capital, working capital, gross on net income, you can charge. Valuer for direct taxes and duties, percentage of value of property valued, you can charge. Next, fundraising services, percentage of funds raised, you can charge. But also remember that getting loan sanctioned is not fundraising. So if you are getting someone loan sanctioned and you are charging based on percentage, then it is not allowed. Next, debt recovery services, percentage of debt recovered, you can charge. If you are providing cost optimization, then you can charge based on percentage of benefit derived. You are an insolvency professional, then you can charge based on percentage. If if you are providing non-assurance services to your non-audit client, this is a client, I am not providing audit services, I am providing non-assurance services. Suppose I am providing tax representation, can I charge based on percentage of tax demanded, tax reduced, tax saved? Yes sir, I can charge. So if it's a non-audit client and I'm giving non-assurance services, then I can charge based on percentage. Okay, yes sir. Next, last clause basically in your part 1 schedule 1 is clause number 11, that we cannot enter into any other businesses, which says that the CA in practice will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he engages in any business or occupation other than CA profession, unless that business or profession is permitted by council. Now what is permitted we will discuss now. First of all, you can be a director simpliciter, that is you can be a non-executive director of any company, means you cannot be a MD, WTD, or you are only required in board meetings and you are not paid any remuneration except sitting fees, matlab attending meetings, matlab sitting fees, unless he or his partners are auditor of the company. If you or your partner are auditor of the company, then you cannot be a director simpliciter of the same company. Okay, yes sir. Now there is one regulation 190A which discusses about what permissions are granted generally by the ICAI. So generally we are permitted to do all these things by the ICAI even when engaging in more than one act. So if we are doing 2-3 things, we are generally permitted, we can do, we don't have to take permission from anyone. Okay, yes sir. What are these acts? First of all, employment under CA in practice of firms, we can do. We can be an employee of CA in practice of firms. We can give private tutorship. We can be an authorship of books or articles, not necessarily professional. So we can be an author of books and articles which are unprofessional as well. But editorship, in case of editorship, we can do only editorship of professional journals, example company audit journal or tax audit journal, but we cannot do an editorship of other than professional journals. Next, we can hold a life insurance agency license for limited purpose of getting renewal commissions. We cannot issue new policies. We can just get renewal commissions of the policies previously issued when we were not a CA. Next, holding or attending the classes and appearing from any examination you can do by ICAI says once you become a CA, you can appear in any of the examination. You can hold any public elective offices such as MP, MLA, MLC. You can have an honorary office leadership of charitable education or other non-commercial organizations. You can act as notary public, peace of justice, special executive magistrate and anything like that. You can be a part-time tutorship under a coaching organization of ICAI. You can be valuation of papers. You can act as a paper setter, head examiner, moderator for any of the examination, not just CA. CA. You can act as a surveyor and loss assessor under Income Tax Act. This is asked in MCQ. You can act as a recovery consultant in banking sector, which will be covered under MCS. Next, you can own land, agricultural land, and carry out agricultural activities. You can be farmer. Okay, yes. Now, specific, what are the activities or what are the services for which specific and prior approval of council is required? So basically, all in all, anything, any other business for which executive committee may grant permission. So basically, apart from this, anything you want to do, you will require a special permission from the ICAI. This is the whole your concept is summed up in this. You don't have to read this again and again. You just have to, you can obviously read once, but I am saying this, that apart from this, anything that you want to do, anything a CA in practice wants to do, he would require a special permission of the ICAI. Okay, yes sir, just read it once. It's not that more important. Okay, yes sir, note. Okay, so what does relative means in CA Act? Relative means husband, wife, brother, sister. Husband, wife, brother, sister are on the same lines, and then lineal ascendant and descendant. Lineal ascendant and descendant of the member are called relative in whole of the Chartered Accountant Act. Okay, yes sir. What is substantial interest? In case of a company, if you have 20% or more of the voting power owned by the member or your one or more relatives, or in any other concern in which the any of the person referred above has substantial interest. So I have a substantial interest in a concern, and that concern has substantial interest in any other concern. So it will be said that I have a substantial interest in the other concern. Okay. Yes. In other cases, if it is not a company, if it's a partnership firm or a LLP, then the member or the persons referred above are entitled to 20% or more of the profits. Then we will say that it will be said that we have a substantial interest in that concern. Okay. Yes, sir. Can auditor of a subsidiary company be a director of its holding company? No, sir. We cannot be. Can member be a promoter or signatory to MOA or AOA? Yes, we can be member AOA ka signatory. Next, the promoter or signatory of MOA or AOB can be director simpliciter of that particular company. Yes, we can be director simpliciter and the promoter of that particular company. Direct teaching hours should not exceed 25 hours per week if we want to undertake test functions. If you want to undertake a test functions, then the direct teaching hours should not exceed 25 hours per week. We cannot teach more than 25 hours per week if we want to take a test function. What if we don't want to take a test function? Then we can teach infinitely any hours per we want. So basically we have our website and we are selling our website and we are receiving royalty from our website, then it will require special permission. It is not generally permitted. Anything which is not generally permitted will require special permission. Okay, yes. Next thing is what? Next thing is that CA was partner in 2 business firms and managing director in 2 company and holding COP without permission of ICAI. He will be guilty under clause 4 and clause number 11. Okay, yes sir. Partnership. So you are in partner in 2 business firms, not allowed. Okay, yes sir. So it will be covered under clause 4. Now let's talk about the derivative transaction. This is interesting. So it says that the CA in practice can transact in future options and index derivatives. Future options and index derivatives for currency and equity derivatives in individual capacity only. So in individual capacity for yourself, you can transact in equity and currency derivatives. No permission of counsel is needed, but you cannot transact about derivatives for clients in business name. For clients in business name, you cannot transact in about derivative currency and equity derivatives. Talking about commodity derivatives, you are not allowed to transact in commodity derivative in personal capacity also. You can just write that obviously it is not allowed. Not allowed unless special permission is taken, unless you are taking special permission. Okay, so you just have to say that we are not allowed to transact in commodity derivatives. Next, CA not holding COP can transfer a transaction derivative. Obviously, the CA in practice, the restrictions are only on CA in practice. The CA in service can obviously transact in derivatives as such. Okay, yes sir. Next, we talk about the CA in practice doing HUF business. So it says that you can acquire interest in family business in any manner, as a proprietary firm, as a partnership firm, as a HUF, as its karta or a member. But the thing is, you need to provide evidence that the interest in family business was due to inheritance, succession, or partition of the family business. You have not purchased the interest. You have to provide the evidence of that. Secondly, if you should not be actively engaged in the business and the business concern was not created by him. And third, that CA in practice, if you are engaged as a karta, is allowed if you are just making investments from the fund of HUF only. You are not engaged in the day-to-day activities of the management of the said business. Okay, yes sir, this was our part 1 schedule 1. Now all the parts are remaining of schedule 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and second schedule part 1, part 2, part 3. Now all the parts are very short. This was the biggest part of the schedules. Now let's talk about the second part of first schedule, which says that which is applicable on professional accountants in service, basically employees, and which has only two clauses, which says don't give, don't take. So we had two clauses above as well, don't give, don't take, and we have the same clauses here as well, don't give, don't take. So what a salary person will give, his share of salary. So we don't have to give anyone our share of salary, which is said here. The technical term which is used here is emoluments. We don't have to share our emoluments of employment undertaken by him. Either directly, we don't have to pay or agree to pay directly or indirectly to any person any share in our emoluments of employment. So basically the purpose is that as a CA we should not pay anyone for our job. To secure a job we should not pay to anyone. So basically, which means that we should not pay to our family members, we should not pay to our wife as well. If you not pay to the wife now, then she will kick us out of the house. So it says that obviously we are permitted to share our emoluments with our relatives, dependents, friends if the payment is not for the consideration for the job procurement or retainership. So basically you should not pay anyone for procuring a job, for securing a job. Okay, yes sir. Keep it in mind, if you are agreeing to pay, suppose if you are agreed to pay, yes, I will pay you my 10% of the CTC, whatever I will be receiving, but you are my friend, so please give me a discount, and he has given you a discount of 10% of the CTC. So essentially you are not paying anything, but since you have agreed to pay it, then also you will be guilty of professional misconduct. So part 2 applies to professional misconduct in relation to CA in service. The intro line would be, CA in service shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he, being an employee of any company, firm or person, you are employee of a company or a firm or a person, this particular part will be applicable to you. You are paying or agreeing to pay directly or indirectly any share of your emoluments. Okay, yes sir. Don't give, don't take. Don't take means what? Clause number 2 says that you do not accept or agree to accept. You should not accept or agree to accept any part of fees, profits from any lawyer or any CA. Being a CA in service, you cannot share profits, you cannot take a profit of CA as well, or any broker engaged by the company or firm or person or agent or customer of such company, firm or person by way of commission or gratification. So it says that suppose I'm a director of the company and I'm saying that okay, so if a vendor is coming to me, or if a vendor of a company is coming to me and he is asking for maybe more discount, then what I'm doing is I am asking for a kickback from a vendor. I'm saying okay, we will give you more payments and you transfer me 1% of the payment that you are receiving. So we cannot do this because we are chartered accountants. We should be ethical in our all decisions. So this is clause number 2, and this was everything about part 2 of schedule 1. Okay, yes sir. Now let's discuss about part 3 of schedule 1, that talks about CA in generally, which is applicable to all the CAs, whether in practice, whether in CA, whether in service. So it says part 3, professional misconduct in relation to CA generally. Intro line should be that CA, whether in practice or not, shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he, okay, one thing more, you cannot use short forms, you cannot use CAIP, you should use chartered accountant in practice. You cannot use the word CA as well, you should use chartered accountants, you should use full forms only, you should not use TCWG, you should use those charged with governance. Okay, yes sir. So CA, whether or not in practice, shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he, what if he, sir? Schedule 1 part 3, don't forget your status. Don't forget your status, give information that asked, and don't fill false write-up. 3 things here. 3 things. First of all, don't forget your status, give information that is asked, don't fill false write-ups. So first clause is don't forget your status, which means that if you are not the fellow of the institute but you are acting as a fellow of the institute, then you will be guilty of professional misconduct. What is meant by fellow here? Fellow means fellow chartered accountant, which we have discussed earlier. Who is a fellow chartered accountant? Who is continuously in practice in India for 5 years is known as fellow chartered accountant. So if you are not a fellow chartered accountant but you are representing yourself as FCA, then you will be guilty of professional misconduct under this clause. Now second clause, give information that asked. So ICAI has asked you information, so basically you will be guilty of professional misconduct if you do not supply the information or you do not comply with the requirements that is asked by institute, council, committee, director discipline, board of discipline, disciplinary committee, quality review board or appellate authority. If you are not supplying the information that is asked by any of these committees or authorities or councils, then you will be held guilty of professional misconduct under this particular clause. Okay, yes sir. Now I have given all the examples of the misconduct that I have found, all the questions whichever is asked by the ICAI in that particular clause. I have given the examples of the misconduct here. So basically you will see from all the clauses, these are the examples and these are the these are the examples where it is here. Here are the examples of the situations that will be guilty in that particular clause. So I have given that given in all the particular clauses that are guilty on that particular clause. What you have to do is you have to just read those examples as well, because from that example the question will come and you will have to identify which clause is applicable in this particular example. So you will get to know obviously this example belongs to this particular clause. Okay, yes sir. So you have to read it yourself. Okay, just you have to give a one reading and that's all done. So basically second clause say that we do not we are not supplying the information that is called, or we are not complying with the requirements of the institute or its council or committees, then we will give deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct under clause 2 part 3 first schedule. And last, the third clause says that we should not fill false write-ups, which means that anything when we are inviting professional work from another CA, or when we are responding to tenders or inquiries, or when we are advertising through write-up, or when we are advertising through anything that is permitted to clause 6 and 7, we should not give any information which we know that it is false. If we do not know that the information is false and then we are giving the information, then we are not guilty. But if we know that the information is false and then we are also giving the information, then we will consider guilty. So basically this clause is applicable in your advertising case, clause 6 and 7, when you are advertising which is permitted, in cases when advertising is permitted and you are advertising and you are giving false information, then you will be guilty under this particular clause. Okay, yes sir. Then is last part, that is other misconduct for CAs generally. It has also two clauses which says that imprisonment of 6 months, don't defame the institute. Here two clauses, first is imprisonment of 6 months and second is don't defame the institute. What it says, sir, it says that, so basically this is other misconduct, this is not professional misconduct, this is the misconduct in your personal life. So the intro line is specifically drafted according to this. This intro line carries 1 mark. So please remember this intro line. It says that CA is expected to maintain highest standards of integrity. We are expected to maintain the highest standard of integrity even in our personal affairs, and any deviation from these standards will call for disciplinary action. We should maintain integrity in our personal interests, in our personal actions as well. Okay, yes sir. CA, whether in practice or not, shall be deemed to be guilty of other misconduct if Clause 1, we are held guilty by any criminal or civil court for any offense which is punishable with imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months. If we are imprisoned for a term not exceeding 6 months, then we will be guilty under this clause 1 part 4 first schedule. So if we are guilty for imprisonment for more than 6 months, then what we will do? Then it will be covered under schedule 2, which we will be discussing obviously in this particular video. Now clause 2 says that don't defame institute. So it says that the CA, whether in practice or not, shall be deemed to be guilty of other misconduct if he, in the opinion of the council, brings disrepute to the profession, means brings defamation to the profession or ICAI through his action, whether or not the action are related to professional work or not. Suppose you are going in a train and you are not taking tickets, and the TC confronts you that you are not taking the ticket and fines you, and he says that you are a CA and you are still not taking the ticket, which means that you have defame the institute, you have bring disrepute to the profession, so then you will be guilty here. So in your personal life you are doing any misconduct, then also institute can punish you. Okay, yes sir, but remember this is only in the opinion of council. If my friends think that I have defamed the institute, but council doesn't think that I have bring disrepute to the institute, then I will not be guilty of misconduct. Okay, yes sir. And these are all the examples which are applicable in clause 2 part 4. Just read it once and then you are done. Okay, perfect. Chaliye. Next we will discuss about the second schedule. Second schedule has 3 parts. First part talk about the professional misconduct in relation to CA in practice. Then why sir it is separated from the first schedule and the second schedule? Why there are 2 schedules? Because the first schedule, the punishment is much simpler or much lenient, but for second schedule, if you are guilty in the second schedule, the punishment is much stricter. That's why both the schedules are separated. So here second schedule first part talks about the professional misconduct in relation to CA in practice. Now let's discuss first of all the memory technique from what we have to remember about the clauses number and the clauses name. So basically second schedule first part we have to discuss about it. 10 clauses are there. It says that you have to just imagine that we have sent 3 articles whose name starts with CCC. So we have sent 3 articles to work and his name and their name start with CCC, and after the work is done we say OMMG. We have sent 3 articles to work whose name starts with CCC, and after the work is done we say OMG, and OMG mein M we say double time, so OMMMG. triple C's we have sent to work, and after their work we say OMMG. Why we say OMG, sir? Because they have no evidences, they did not comply with the SA, and they did not put clients' money in separate bank account. What we say again, triple C's, OMMG, no evidences, no SA compliance, no clients' money in separate bank account. So these are all the 10 clauses that we have to discuss right now, which are applicable for CA in practice. So first of all, first C is about confidentiality, which says that intro line is obviously the same. CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he discloses any information. If we disclose any information which is acquired in our professional engagement to any person, if we disclose any information to any person, then we will be guilty. Obviously, if we disclose the information to the client, then we will not be guilty. But if we disclose the information without the consent on the client or otherwise required by the law, then we will be guilty. Obviously, if it is required by the law, can we disclose the information? Yes, we can disclose the information. So SA 200 also state that the auditor should respect confidentiality of information. So here in this particular clause, you should refer SA 200 as well. Okay, yes sir. Next, CA's duty not to disclose continues even after completion of his assignment. For ex client also we cannot disclose the information. For prospective client also we cannot disclose the information. Disclosure is allowed if it is required as per professional duty. If it is a professional duty, then disclosure is allowed. Example, submitting the information to exchange control authority, submitting the information to regulators. In other disclosures, consent of client should be given by competent person. When we are taking the consent of the client, then the consent of the client should be given by competent person. It should not be like that, okay, I am taking an consent from the employee of a company. Obviously, employee of a company cannot give a consent to disclose any information, right? So basically the competent person, who are the competent persons, sir? So here in the given example, we can say that, okay, suppose in case of sole proprietorship, the competent person is the proprietor or attorney. In case of partnership, the competent person is any partner. In case of company, any MD. If MD has such powers which are delegated by board of directors to him. If not delegated, then we have to take board resolution, and only after that we can disclose the information. And lastly, the disclosure which is allowed to CG within 60 days of fraud knowledge as per section 143.12. Obviously, you can ignore this line for now. We will discuss about fraud reporting under section 143.12, and then we will discuss what disclosures we have to give to CG in that particular section. Okay, yes sir, this was clause number 1. Second C, first C was confidentiality. Second C is about certification. When no examination, we are certifying without examining. So it says that the CA in practice will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he certifies or submits in his name or firm name any report on examination of financial statements. If you are submitting any report on examination of financial statements, you will be guilty. Sir, what is this? There is an exception, don't worry about it. Such examination should be either conducted by you or your partner or your employee or any other CA in practice. So if any other CA in practice which is not related to you has conducted any examination and you are giving any report on that examination, it is allowed. It is allowed. It is allowed, but examination should have been conducted. That is the case. Okay, yes sir. So the examination should be conducted either by you, your partner or your employee or any other CA in practice. Then you will not be guilty. If examination is not conducted by any of the above, then you will be guilty. Okay, yes sir. Next, clause 3 is sir, 2 C's we have discussed. C is confidentiality. Second C is certification when no examination. Third C is contingent upon future events. That is same related to your SA 3400. SA 3400 is talks about what? Prospective financial information. So it says that CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if it permits, if you are allowing your name or your firm name to be used with estimates of earning. This estimate of earnings is same related to your prospective financial information. You should not allow your name to be used with estimate of earnings which are contingent upon future transactions, because we are not an astrologer. We cannot predict future transactions, so we cannot associate our name with the estimate of earnings in a such manner which may lead the users to believe that we vouch for the accuracy of forecast. So we cannot be associated with any estimate of earnings. We cannot be associated with any prospective financial information. But there is a catch over here. We can participate in preparation and review of financial forecast provided we follow these 3 conditions. Provided we disclose these 3 things in our report. What 3 things should be disclosed in our report? First of all, the sources of the information. Second, the basis of forecast. Third, the major assumptions that we have made. And we should write in the report that we do not vouch for the accuracy of forecast. If these 4 conditions are fulfilled, then only we can permit our name to be used with the estimate of earnings which are contingent upon future transaction. Otherwise we cannot. Okay, yes sir. And same opinion will apply to projections as well, and we have to refer 3400 for more details, and which will be posted on YouTube very soon. Okay, yes sir. Now let's talk about clause number 4. Triple C's we have done. Confidentiality, certification when no examinations, contingent upon future events. Triple C's done the work. We explain OMMG. So O is for 4th clause, and O talks about opinion when substantial interest. So it says that CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if we express an opinion on a financial statements of an enterprise in which either we or our firm or our partner of the firm has a substantial interest. So basically, if I am having a substantial interest in an enterprise which is 20% or more of the voting power, then I cannot enter. Then I cannot audit the financial statements of the same enterprise. Okay, yes sir. This is applicable to all attest function, not just on audit or not just on statutory audit. It is applicable on all the attest function. We cannot sign any of the reports of the firm in which of the concern in which we are having a substantial interest. Okay, yes sir. But obviously, it is not applicable on management consultancy services like cost evaluations. We can obviously give MCS services to our concern to a company in which we are having a substantial interest. Okay, yes sir. And here the financial statements is not just the financial statements, literal financial statements. It includes every report that is submitted to the public. Every report, certificates, any attest functions that is submitted to the public. But obviously, suppose I am an employee and my employing organization asks for any statements which is not being submitted to the public and which is for internal allocation, internal discussion, then can I give an assurance on this particular report? Yes, I can give the assurance on this particular report because this particular report is not being circulated in the public. Okay, yes sir. And lastly, CA should maintain same independence as auditor in all the spheres of his work. So basically, either you are reviewing, either you are giving any other assurance service, you should maintain the same independence as an auditor of the company. Okay, yes sir. Next, the members should not write the books of accounts for auditing clients. Obviously, if you are writing the books of accounts for clients, then it is a self-review threat, and you will be considered guilty under clause 4 part 1 second schedule. Next, statutory audit cannot be an internal auditor simultaneously. Being a statutory auditor, you cannot accept any internal assignment work of the company. You need to understand that. So statutory auditor cannot be an internal auditor simultaneously. Internal auditor cannot be a tax auditor simultaneously, because tax auditor is an external auditor and internal auditor is an internal auditor. So basically, you cannot accept being an external auditor, you cannot accept any internal assignment of the company. Okay, yes sir. But can a statutory auditor be a tax auditor? Yes, statutory auditor can be a tax auditor. Internal auditor cannot be a GST auditor simultaneously, again because there is external internal difference. Okay, now let's talk about cooling off period. It says that suppose I am a director of a company and after I have left my directorship, I have ceased to be director of the company. After I have ceased to be director of the company, there is a cooling period of 2 years. So after 2 years, I can be the auditor of the same company in which I was a director. Before 2 years, I cannot be the director of the same company. Okay, yes sir, this is what is written in cooling off period. Next, members should satisfy if his appointment is as per statute, deed, instrument constituting the entity. Obviously, you should check if your appointment is valid or not. If the appointment is to be authorized by the regulatory authority, then member must verify whether the authorities have authorized the appointment of auditor. Basically, you should ensure that you are appointed with duly according to the duly verified procedure. Okay, yes sir. Now there are some things which are not permitted for you as a chartered accountant. What are the things? So first of all, to certify the financial statements of the employer. Obviously, you cannot certify the financial statements of your own employer or of the concern under same management. So even if you are holding COP, unless it is permitted by law, you cannot certify the financial statements of your own employer. Okay, by himself or your firm name, you cannot accept the auditorship of the college if you are working as a part-time lecturer, or if you are visiting faculty in the college, then you cannot accept the auditorship of the same college. If you or your partner is either employee or trustee of the trust, then you cannot accept auditorship of the trust. This is not permitted, remember that. Okay, so if you are employee or trustee of the trust, then you cannot accept auditorship of the trust. But here is the case. Here you will see in the decisions that if you are member of the trust, then you can accept the auditorship of the trust. Okay, yes sir. Next, you are not permitted to audit where your relative has substantial interest. You are not permitted to audit where you are director, officer or employee of the company. Obviously, that's the case. You are not permitted to audit where you are holding where you are not a director, officer or employee, but you are holding security or interest in the company or its subsidiary, holding associate or subsidiary as such holding company. If you are say holding any 1 rupee security or interest, you cannot be an auditor of the same company. Okay, yes sir. Next, you are not permitted to audit where the partner of where your partner is officer or employee of the company, where your partner is holding any security or interest in the company or subsidiary, holding associate or subsidiary of such holding company. So basically you or your partner cannot hold any security or interest in any company or is holding subsidiary, associate or subsidiary of such holding company. Okay, yes sir. You are not permitted to audit where the relative of where your relative is director or KMP. So basically if your relative is director or KMP in a company, you are not allowed to audit. But if your relative is an employee of a company, then you are allowed to audit that same company. Okay, yes sir. Next, you are not allowed to audit where the relative is holding any security or interest in the company or its subsidiary or holding associate or subsidiary of such holding company if the face value exceeds 1 lakh. Remember this, it talks about only the face value, not the market value. If the face value exceeds 1 lakh, then you are not allowed to accept the audit. And lastly, you are not allowed to audit if the client is relative of the member. I cannot audit my client. Okay, sorry, I cannot audit my relative. Okay, yes sir. Next, this was our clause number 4. Next is OM. O se tha, O for with O it was opinion when substantial interest. Next is M, that is material fact not disclosed, and second M is that material misstatement in financial statements is not disclosed. So 5 and 6 are closely interrelated to each other. So clause number 5 says that professional CA in practice will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he fails to disclose material fact that is known to him. First condition, that is known to him, which is not disclosed in the financial statements, but disclosure is required in the financial statements when we are concerned with the financial statement in professional capacity. Suppose either I'm auditing or giving attestation services or compiling the financial statements. I know that the material fact is not disclosed in the financial statements, which is required to be disclosed in the financial statements, and I'm allowing this, then I will be guilty under clause 5, part 2. Part 1, second schedule. Okay, yes sir, these are the examples. You can read the examples on your own. Next is clause number 6. Now here is the difference. It says that you are failing to report material misstatement that is known to you to appear in the financial statements with when you are concerned with the financial statements in the professional capacity. So basically, the fifth clause talks about the material fact is not disclosed. So when there is non-disclosure of information, there will be clause number 5. Apart from non-disclosure, if there is any other material misstatement which you know that exists in the financial statements, then you will be guilty under clause number 6. Okay, yes sir, keep in mind that. Okay, chaliye. Next, there is an important question about this. It says that the CA represented the company before the tax authority and submitted the information to the authorities on behalf of the client. So basically, I am just representing the client. I am submitting all the information that I have received from the client to the authority. I didn't check the information that is given by client to me. Now the information is found to be false. These statements on the data false and misleading. Now, the statements that the CA had submitted to the authority were based on the data that the client has submitted, and we were not required to check whether the data was right or not. So we were not guilty of misconduct. Okay, yes sir, we were just representing the client, so we had just filed the information on behalf of the client. Okay, yes sir. Chaliye, next. Okay, so we have discussed OMMG. O say opinion and substantial interest. With M, it was material fact not disclosed. M, material misstatement in financial statements. And G is grossly negligent. We are grossly negligent, careless in our duties. Then clause number 7 will attract. So clause number 7 says CA in practice will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if it does not exercise due diligence or is grossly negligent in conduct of his professional duties. If we are grossly negligent, grossly careless in our duties, then clause number 7 will apply. And this is the line that you have to mention every time when clause 7 will apply, that it says that this clause number 7 is a very vital clause and it attracts whenever there is necessary to judge whether the accountant honestly discharges duties or not. Whenever the accountant honestly does not discharge his duties, then this clause number 7 will attract. This negligence covered from fraud to any minor negligence, everything is covered in this particular clause 7, and that's why you can see there are a lot of examples for clause number 7, and generally clause number 2, clause number 7 and clause number 8 are generally applicable together. So that's the thing that you have to keep in mind. If you think that multiple clauses are applicable on that particular situation, you can obviously quote all the multiple clauses that you think are applicable. You don't have to just juggle between all the clauses and which clause will apply, which clause will apply. You can apply all the clauses. Okay, yes sir. Now let's discuss about clause number 8. Obviously you have to just read the examples and that's enough. Okay, chaliye. Next we discuss about the clause number 8, which says triple C's OMMG, no evidences. which means a CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he fails to obtain sufficient information or sufficient evidences which are necessary for opinion expression, or which are necessary to negate the expression of opinion, which are necessary for us to disclaim the opinion. So basically it says that we will be guilty of professional misconduct if we are not obtaining sufficient information. We are just signing based on any data that is available to us, and we are not obtaining any sufficient information for opinion expression, or which is the material to negate the expression of opinion, that is for giving disclaimer of opinion. If we are not doing it, if we are not obtaining the sufficient information, then we will be guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, yes sir, just read the example once. Okay, next is that no evidences and no essays compliance. You are not complying with the essay. So here it says that the CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he fails. What fails? To invite attention to any material departure from general accepted procedures of audit applicable to circumstances. General accepted or procedures for audit is called GAPA. Its short form is GAPA, General Accepted Procedures for Audit. So basically there is General Accepted Procedure for Audit. You are departing materially from General Accepted Auditor for General Accepted Procedure for Audit. This is not the misconduct. The misconduct is that you have a material departure from General Accepted Auditor Procedure for Audit, but you are not inviting attention of the users to this material departure. So material departure in itself is not making you guilty, but you are not telling your users that you are departing from the GAPA is what making you guilty. Okay, yes sir, just keep that in mind. This is the difference, minute difference, that you are failing to invite attention to any material departure from general accepted procedure for audit acceptable in the circumstances. Okay, yes sir. So if the auditor fails to verify cash when it is material, it is not sufficient. So it's not just that you have to just invite the attention to not following the GAPA and you are done. It's not that. You have to first of all, you have to give a sufficient reason for not following GAPA as well. So it states that when you have to verify cash and it is material, it is not sufficient to just state in your report giving qualification that you did not verify cash. You should indicate clearly the reasons why you are not able to perform the audit as per GAPA. It's not that you just have to invite the attention to the material departure. You also have to tell me what are the reasons for why you are not able to follow GAPA. Okay, yes sir. Now let's talk about audit of listed company. For auditing any listed company, you should have a valid certificate which is issued by peer review board. This was a question I asked in ICAI in the recent attempt. Peer review board, you should have a valid certificate by peer review board. If you don't have a valid certificate by peer review board, you will be guilty under clause 9 part 1 second schedule. Okay, yes sir. Next, FRN and membership. FRN is firm registration number and membership number. You should mention this in all reports and certificate. If you don't mention it, you will be guilty under clause 9. Next, UDIN. UDIN is mandatory on all corporate, non-corporate audit, attest and assurance functions. Example, all kind of certification, GST and audit, tax audit reports, all kind of reports and certificate. UDIN is mandatory. If you don't mention it, you will be guilty under clause number 9. Okay, yes sir. Now there are a few examples mentioned. You can just basically check out it. And last, then the last clause of part 1 schedule 3, that is clause number 10, that says that we have not put client's money is a separate bank account. So it says that the CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he fails. What fails, sir? To keep monies of his client's money. We have failed to keep in a separate bank account immediately. We have to keep this client's money in a separate bank account immediately. Sir, client has given me my remuneration. Should I need to keep the separate bank account immediately? No. If a client has given you a fees, your remuneration, or client has told you to, okay, you are going for an audit, you will be, you will have some, you have to bear some expenses. So we are giving an advance for the expenses that you will have to bear. So are those those advance we have to keep it in a separate bank account? No sir. So any other fees, remuneration, or any money that client has given to us that is meant to be expended or meant to be expensed in a reasonably short period of time, then we don't have to keep it in a separate bank account. But otherwise all the client money we have to keep in a separate bank account immediately. Or if client has given me a money and told me to invest it in 3 months. Okay, client has told me, given his money and told me to invest in 3 months, and I have kept it in a separate bank account, but I have not made the investment within 3 months. Will I be guilty? Yes, I will be guilty. So it says that the CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he fails to use such money for intended purposes within the reasonable time. So the purposes for which the client has given you money, if you are not using it for those purposes, then also you will be guilty under clause 10. This is a tricky point here. Okay, yes sir. So it says that the advance received by the CA against the services does not fall under this clause. You can keep it in your personal bank account. Money intended to be spent within a reasonably short period of time need not be put in the separate bank account. You can keep it in your own bank account. Money is received by CA in capacity as trustee, executor, liquidator, etc. Usko aapko matlab for that you will have to keep it in a separate bank account immediately. Okay, yes sir, here there are some example. You can read this, and this was our part 1 of schedule 2. Now we discuss about part 2 that talks about professional misconduct for CAs generally, and part 3 is also for CAs generally and talks about other misconduct. It says the intro line is CA, whether in practice or not, shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he. So here we have 5 clauses. So here we send 3 C's. Okay, again we will discuss this. 3 C's we have sent in part 1 schedule 2. It says 3 C's after the work is done. We say OMMG, no evidences, no essay compliance, no putting of client's money separate bank account. So next part we decide to send 2 C's. We decided to send 2 articles. So here 2 C's, but they did worse work. They did worse work than the 3 C's. What they do is they give false information. They embezzle the client's money. They take out the client money and run. And lastly, they are not complying with the Companies Act as an auditor of the company. So these are the 5 clauses that are applicable in part 2 schedule 2. So what are the 5 clauses? First one is C, that is contravention of acts, regulation or guidelines. So it says that the CA, whether in practice or not, shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he contravenes any provisions of the act, regulation, guidelines or council issued by the ICAI. So basically, practically this clause is applicable everywhere, anywhere in the professional ethics. If any CA is doing any wrong work, any violations of any of the acts or guidelines or any of the sections or niche guidelines or the acts or any of the clauses, this clause is attracted. So I would recommend to mention this clause every time when the ICAI says that the CA is guilty. Okay, yes sir, example of misconduct are given here, but basically anything related to articles you are doing wrong, then this clause is applicable. Okay, yes sir. Next is clause number 2. Clause number 2, what says sir? C, first C was for contravention of acts, regulation and guideline. Second C was for confidentiality for CA in service. The first clause is about contravention of acts, regulation and guidelines. Second says confidentiality for CA in service. So why it talks about specifically for CA in service? Where is confidentiality for CA in practice? It was in the clause 1 of part 1 of schedule 2. This was part for CA in practice only. So this was about confidentiality for CA in practice. So that's why they have discussed confidentiality for CA in service specifically for second clause. It says that CA, whether in practice or not, shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he, being an employee of any company, firm or person, discloses any confidential information which he has acquired during employment. If you are acquiring any information during the employment and if you are disclosing that information, then you will be guilty except when required by law or except as permitted by the employer. Applicable bhale, it doesn't matter whether you are in whole-time or part-time employment or you are in practice or not. This clause will be applicable to you if you are employee of a company. Okay, yes sir. So 2C was, the first was contravention of acts, regulation and guideline. Second was confidentiality for CA in service. Now what the 2Cs did, they give false information. So here CA, whether in practice or not, shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he, in any information, statement or return of form which are submitted to the institute, council, committee, director discipline, board of discipline, disciplinary committee, quality review board or appellate authority, submits any particulars knowing them to be false. If we are submitting an information which we know to be false, then we will be deemed to be guilty and profess in particular that this particular clause. Now sir, something similar we read earlier as well, that we do not supply the information to these particular institutes or councils or committee, then we will be guilty under that particular clause. Sir, what was that clause? If you remember, that was in our first schedule. That was part 3 and clause number 2. If we don't supply the information, then we will be guilty here. And if we supply the information but the information is false, then we will be guilty under schedule 2. Okay, part 2. Okay, yes sir, third clause. Okay, yes sir, here are some examples. You can read the examples. Next is the fourth clause that talks about embezzling the client's money. So you are taking the client's money, looting the client's money and run. So basically taking the client money and run. So if you are embezzling the client receipts, CA in practice, whether in practice or not, shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if you are defalcating, if you are embezzling the money that you have received in your professional capacity. And here SA 240 will also be applicable, that you are doing fraud. Okay, yes sir. And lastly, fifth clause is there which says that you are not complying Companies Act as an auditor of the company. So you will be guilty under clause 5 5 part 2 second schedule, which talks about that the CA, whether in practice or not, shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he is acting as an auditor without complying the Companies Act. Okay, yes sir. Last part of second schedule, that is part number 3, which talks about other misconduct for all the CAs, and it is just one clause which talks about that imprisonment of more than 6 months. So if you are imprisoned for more than 6 months, then you will be guilty under this clause. So if you are imprisoned for less than 6 months, then what will happen? Then we will be guilty under this particular clause number 1 part 4 first schedule. Okay, yes sir. So it says that CA, whether in practice or not, same line, shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he is guilty by any civil or criminal court, or for any offense which is punishable by imprisonment for term exceeding 6 months. So exceeding 6 months will be guilty under this particular clause, that's schedule 2. Now sir, what is the difference between first schedule and second schedule? It's based on the level of punishment. First schedule gets lenient punishment and second schedule gets stricter punishment. And how the punishment is given, now this procedure is discussed here. This is called disciplinary procedure. So basically, first of all, whenever there is a complaint against you by any other chartered accountant or by any other person to the ICAI, then the complaint is looked forward by the disciplinary directorate. Disciplinary directorate schemes through the complaint and he makes a prima facie opinion. What it is he looks at the complaint along with the fee and makes a prima facie opinion. According to him, if the complainant, the CA, is guilty or not. If he thinks that the CA is guilty, then he will think, okay, he is guilty under which of the clauses. If he is guilty under only first schedule, then he will go to board of discipline. If he is guilty under second schedule, then he will go to disciplinary committee. And if the CA is guilty under both the schedule, then he will also go into disciplinary committee as only. So basically, first schedule guilty, if you are guilty under first schedule, you will go to board of discipline. If you are guilty under second schedule, you will go to disciplinary committee, or if you are guilty under both schedule, you will go to disciplinary committee. Board of discipline will look into your case. If board of discipline thinks that you are guilty, then it may either reprimand you. Reprimand you means, okay, CA, please don't do all these things, you are a CA, you should not do these things. So basically reprimand is all this thing. Next, secondly, he can either remove your name up to 3 months. He can remove your name from the register of member up to 3 months, or he can also fine up to 1 lakh rupees. So these are the 3 things which board of discipline can do. Either all of the things, or maybe all of the things, depends on board of discipline. And if the board of discipline thinks that you are not guilty, then he can basically close the matter. Same thing is the same cases with the disciplinary committee. If disciplinary committee thinks that you are guilty, then he can reprimand you, or he can remove your name, not for 3 months but permanently. He has the power, it has the power to remove your name permanently, or for any other period that is deems fit, or lastly he can fine up to 5 lakh rupees. So this has a stricter penalty compared to your first schedule. So okay, yes sir, and if you're not guilty, then obviously close the matter. This is the case when disciplinary directorate has a prima facie opinion that you are guilty. What if the disciplinary directorate prima facie opinion is that you are not guilty? Then he will take the matter to the board of discipline, the same board of discipline here. So board of discipline will check if he accept the matter, yes, this is not guilty, then we will close the matter. If board of discipline rejects the matter, then board of discipline will ask the disciplinary directorate to further investigate, and he can board of discipline can itself proceed with the matter if the matter is related to first schedule, and if the matter is related to second schedule or both, then he will refer the case to disciplinary committee. Okay, yes sir. Now suppose disciplinary committee says that the CA is guilty while the CA thinks that he is not guilty, then there is any mechanism of appealing? Yes, here we have a mechanism of appealing as well. That is, it says that if any member or disciplinary directorate, that is the director discipline, is aggrieved, is not agreeing with the order of the board of discipline or disciplinary committee, then he can prefer the appeal within 90 days. Remember, within 90 days from the date of order you can appeal. After that you cannot appeal, and the appellate authority can do anything as it may sound required. So basically appellate authority can do anything. He can confirm, modify, set aside the order, impose, set aside, reduce or enhance the penalty, remit the case to the board of discipline or disciplinary committee for reconsideration, or pass such order as it deems fit. And this was everything related to our schedules. And now we are going to start with our Council Guidelines 2008. Council Guidelines 2008, chapter number 1 says that the council guidelines are applicable to all the CAs generally, whether in practice or not. Chapter number 2 says that the conduct of member being an employee, if you are an employee, you should exercise due diligence and you should not be grossly negligent in conduct of your duties. So why it's only for employees, where it is for CA in practice? Clause number 7 we have discussed. OMMG. G was for grossly negligent. Clause number 7, part 1, second schedule, we have discussed. So that was for CA in practice. This is for CA in service. Okay. Yes, sir. Chapter number 5 says that we have to maintain books of accounts. We cannot maintain books of accounts on our mobile notes. We have to maintain books of accounts if we are in professional practice. Proper books of accounts, including cash book and ledger, we have to maintain. Now there is important chapter which says chapter number 6, tax audit assignment under section 44AB. So it says that a CA in practice shall not accept in a financial year more than 60 tax audits. So the limit is 60 tax audits, provided in case of a firm this 60 tax audit limit is counted per partner wise. So if there are 10 partners, then the total tax audit limit will be 600 tax audits. Okay. If a partner is also a partner in other firms and also a proprietorship, then the number of tax audits from all the firms taken together and also in the proprietorship for such partners shall not exceed 60 in aggregate. So basically, if I am a partner in a firm, I am a partner in this firm, I am a partner in this firm, and I am also have my proprietorship firm, then including everything, the limit should not exceed 60. Okay, so per partner the limit is only 60. It should not exceed. It should not be like, okay, in this firm I have a per 60 limit, in this firm I have another 60 limit, in my proprietorship I have another 60 limit. That should not be the case. Okay, yes, sir. CA in practice who is a part-time practicing partner shall not be counted in above limit. So if I am a part-time practicing partner and I'm not part-time practicing, I'm just doing practice for part-time. Okay, so I am doing practice part-time, then I am not counted in the limit, then I don't have a 60 tax audit limit on me. Okay, yes, sir. So basically I cannot do tax audit, basically the thing is. Okay, yes, sir. So audit under section 44 AD, ADA and A of the income tax shall not be counted from 60 tax audit. Then sir, which audits will be counted? Section 44 AB audit will be counted only, not this presumptive taxes audit will be counted, only section 44 AB will be counted. Okay, yes, sir. The limit of tax audit may be distributed between the partner in any manner. So but suppose there are 10 partners and there are though the limit is 600 and one partner wants to sign all the 600 tax audit, can he do so? Yes, he can do so, provided the other 9 partners does not sign any tax audit report. Okay, yes, sir. If we are doing joint tax audit, then it will be counted in the 60 tax audit. All the partners will count one tax audit. Next, if we are doing audit of HO and the branch premises of the same company, then it will be regarded as one tax audit. If we are not doing the audit of HO but we are doing the audit of all the branches of the company, then it will be only counted as one tax audit. Okay, yes, sir. Next is chapter number 7, appointment of auditor in case of non-payment of undisputed audit fees, which we have already discussed in clause number 8 part 1 first schedule, which says that if there is undisputed audit fees, then we cannot accept the audit unless it is a sick unit. Okay, yes, sir. Next is chapter number 8, specified number of statutory audit assignments. So here we were discussing about tax audit assignment. Now it's specified statutory audit assignment, which says that the CA in practice shall not hold or take any in a financial year appointment of more than 30 statutory audit, whether it's for private company or any other company, but it has an exception of one person company and dormant company, which means that one person company, dormant company statutory audit we can accept in unlimited quantity, but apart from these two we cannot accept more than 30 statutory audit per partner. This is the limit per partner, obviously same as per tax audit. So in case of firm, 30 limits is each partner per partner of the firm, whether in full-time or part-time employment elsewhere, or if the partner is part-time practicing partner, then it should not be counted, same as the case with tax audit. If any partner of the firm is also partner of another firms and also in individual capacity, then including everything the limit is 30. Okay, you should include all the audits that are counted on your name. Okay, yes, sir. In computing 30 audits, joint audit should also be conducted, should also be counted. Audit of HO and branch offices of the company should be counted as one audit. Audit of one or more branches of the same company should be counted as one audit. And the number of partners you have to count on the date of acceptance of audit shall be considered. So basically the thing is, suppose I have 9 partners and I already have accepted 270 audits. So 9 into 30 is 270. Now suppose there is one more audit which is coming to me. I have accepted the audit, and after that I am increasing my limit to 10 partners. So can I do this? No. On the date of accepting the audit, I should be within the limits. Since I am accepting 271 audits with 9 partners as on the date, that's why I will be guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, yes, sir. Next is chapter number 9. This is interesting. This says that appointment of statutory auditor. So it says that when you are accepting the appointment as a statutory auditor of any public sector undertaking, of any government company, of any listed company, or any other public company having turnover of 50 crore or more in a year, you should ensure that the remuneration that you are receiving from the same company from other assignment is not more than the statutory audit fees. So basically it says that suppose your statutory audit fees is 50 lakh and you're giving some other services to the same company and you're receiving a fees of suppose 60 lakh, then this is not allowed. Your statutory audit fees should be higher than the fees that you are receiving from the other services. Either you are receiving from the other services or your associate concern is receiving from the other services that is being given to the same company, your audit client. Okay, yes sir. So basically, provided that in case of appointing authority or regulatory body, if they specify more stringent condition or restriction, the same shall apply. So basically the condition is 1x, the statutory audit fees is suppose your 50 lakh rupees, then you and your associate concern put together can only accept the other services of 50 lakh rupees, not more than that. Suppose after that after 1 year the regulator says okay, the limit is 0.5x, then you can only accept 25 lakh rupees. But in professional ethics the limit is 1x. So basically if your statutory audit fee is 50 lakh rupees, then you can only accept the other services of 50 lakh rupees only. Okay, yes sir. Now what does other assignment means, other services mean? So other assignment include all the services that are permitted to be rendered by the auditor, but it does not include 3 services, that is audit which are doing under other statute like tax audit, GST audit fees will not be counted under other assignment. Secondly, any certification which are required to be done by the statutory auditors will not be counted. And thirdly, any representation before the authority, tax representation, GST representation will not be counted. So suppose your 50 lakh is the statutory audit fees, 10 lakh is other assignment, and 60 lakh is tax audit. So if you see total other assignment is 70 lakh rupees, which is not allowed. But in the other assignment, tax audit is not counted because it is audit under other statute. So your other assignment essentially is only 10 lakh and your statutory audit fees is 50 lakh, that is allowed. Okay, yes sir. Now what is associate concern, sir? So associate concern mean any corporate or firm which renders MCS services to our audit client, in which the proprietor, either my partner or our relative is director, partner, or jointly, we all jointly hold a substantial interest in that particular corporate or partnership, then that particular corporate or partnership will be considered as our associate concern. Okay, yes sir. This are our chapter number 9. Now chapter number 10, appointment of auditor when he is indebted to the concern. It says that the CA in practice, partner, firm, relative of such CA in practice or our partner shall not accept appointment as auditor while indebted to the concern, or we have given any, while either we are indebted to the concern. Indebtedness means we have accepted some borrowings from the concern, or we have accepted any guarantee, given any guarantee or security on behalf of any other third person for the indebtedness of any third person to the concern. The limits, we have limits over here. You don't have to worry, okay, we cannot borrow even 1 rupees. That's not the case. You have a limit. So you have a limits either fixed in the statute. If the limit are not fixed in the statute, then the limit are 1 lakh rupees. And when you are auditing company, the limit is fixed. In case of company audit, the indebtedness is limit up to 5 lakh rupees. And if you are giving guarantee security for any other third person, then the limit is 1 lakh rupees. Okay, yes sir. So if you are auditing company, then you have to remember this limit. If you are auditing other than company, then you have to remember this limit. Okay, yes sir. Suppose sir, I am receiving my fees on a progressive basis. He is sending me an advance fees. I am receiving on a progressive basis. I have done this quarter work, so they are paying me for this quarter. Is this allowed? This is allowed. Okay, receiving the fees on progressive basis is allowed. You are not be considered as guilty. Okay, yes sir. Chapter number 11, directions in case of unjustified removal of auditors. If it is unjustified removal of auditors, then the incoming auditor should not accept the appointment as an auditor. Suppose the previous auditor has given qualified opinion, and that's why the company is coming to me for accepting as an auditor. Can I accept as an auditor? No, I cannot accept as an auditor. I should not accept the appointment as an auditor. Okay, yes sir. Next is chapter number 13, which talk about guidelines on tender, which we have already discussed earlier. What discussed earlier, sir? Tender, if it is exclusively reserved for chartered accountants, then we cannot apply unless it is mentioning minimum fees. If the tender is open to all the categories, then we can directly apply. Next is chapter number 14 about UDIN. UDIN we have to mention in all the reports and certificates, and all the attestation functions, reports and certificate, we have to mention UDIN also. Okay, yes sir. Next is our chapter number 15, that is guidelines for networking, which is also important, which has just come in the exams in September 25, which says that, so basically here they have mentioned all the things, all the structures in which we can consider that the two firms are in network, or when we can consider that the two firms are not in network. So how we can identify whether two firms are in network or not? These are all the situations which will help us in identifying whether the firms are in network or not. So how we will identify whether the firms are in network or not? First of all, it says that judgment as to network will be made whether reasonable and informed third party would conclude that entities are associated in a network. So basically, we will have to objectively consider whether the entities are in network or not. If the structure is aimed at only facilitating referral of work, we are only doing referral of work, then it is not a network. If the aim is cooperating, sharing among common brand name, common system of quality control, significant professional resources are being shared, then it is a network. If the structure is aimed at cooperation and profit or cost sharing among the segments, then it is a network. Sharing of immaterial cost is not a network. Sharing of cost limited to development of audit manuals or training, then it is not a network. Association between the firms and unrelated entity to jointly provide a service or develop a product, then it is not a network. If the structure of if the aim is to cooperation, entities share common ownership, control or management or quality control system or strategy or brand name, for example common brand name along with its firm name when partner signs audit report, then it is a network. Even though firms does not belong to the network, does not use common brand name as part of its firm name, it may belong to the network if the reference is in its stationery or promotional materials as being member of association of firm. So if I am not a network of EY but I am writing in my promotional materials that I am a network of EY, then I will be considered network of part of the network of EY. Okay, yes sir, that's a logic. Next, entity is not deemed to be network because just because it cooperates with another entity solely to respond jointly to a request for proposal or provision. So basically, we are responding to a tender and we are jointly responding to a tender. That does not in itself make us make both the firms a network. Okay, yes sir. If aim is to cooperation and entities within the structure share significant part of professional resources, then they are in network. If the shared resources are limited to common audit manuals with no exchange of personal or client or market information and the shared resources are not significant, then it is not a network. So basically the crux is if you are sharing, if you are cooperating, if you have a common brand name, common use, if you are just referencing it in your material, then you are in network, otherwise you are not in network. Okay, yes sir. Then let's talk about the forms of network, like what are the different forms of network can be constituted in various other forms. First of all, as a mutual entity which will act as a facilitator for constituents of network. Constituents means the forms that comprise of the network. So the forms of the network itself will not carry out any professional practice. So you can either set up a mutual entity which will not carry out any professional practice, they will just act as a facilitator of the network. Secondly, you can form network as a partnership firm which have maximum 20 partners. So you cannot induct more than 20 partners if you are forming a network with a partnership firm. If you can form a network with a LLP also. You can form a network for company also for management consultancy services. So a company can offer a MCS, but a company cannot offer a CA related services, accountancy related services. Next, firm is allowed to join only one network and firm having common partner is allowed to join only one network, same network. So basically, suppose ABC is a company, is a firm, and XYA is a firm in which A and A both are same common partners. So suppose ABC and company is joining BCD network, then XYA should also join BCD network only. Okay, yes sir. And firm is only allowed to join one network. Now let's talk about approval of name of the network of the firm. So it says that the name of the network should be approved by the ICAI and the name of the network of the firm should not contain any and company and associates word with it. We cannot write Ankush Chirimar and company if Ankush Chirimar is a network. So with network we will use you will use the description as and affiliates. So whenever it's an affiliate, we will use Ankush Chirimar and affiliates. For firm we will use Ankush Chirimar and company or Ankush Chirimar and associates. In individual firm and company and associates, and for network and affiliates. Okay, yes sir. The format of application for approval of name will be given in form number A for approval. So you can remember like this. Okay, even after the name is approved, if it is found undesirable, then the same name may be dropped by the ICAI and the provision for the name of the Companies Act in the companies name of the companies will be applicable on the firm as well. Next, ICAI should approve or reject the name within the 30 days from the date of receipt of the firm. Whenever I am submitting the application, ICAI will approve or reject the name within 30 days. Mere approval of the name shall not entitle a network to carry on its practice. So basically, after name approval, you cannot carry out your own practice. You will now have to register yourself, get yourself registered with the ICAI. So first you will have to take approval of ICAI, approval of name from the ICAI, and then you will have to apply for registration of the network with the ICAI. So it says network or registration of network with the entities in India. ICAI will reserve your name. So after approving your name, ICAI will reserve your name for 3 months from the date of approval. Within 3 months, the network shall get itself registered with the ICAI by applying in form number B. So form number B is for getting registered with the ICAI within 3 months, failing which if you don't apply within 3 months, then your name assigned will be cancelled and then you will have to again apply for the name allotment. Registration of the network with the ICAI is mandatory. Obviously, you will have to get approved your name from the ICAI. You will have to register with the ICAI. Then only you can carry your practice as a network. Okay, yes sir. If different Indian firms are connected with common multinational accounting firm, then they shall be considered as a part of a network. If you are not forming a network in India, if you are joining any network which is formed outside India, then you will be considered as a part of a same network. Okay, yes sir. Now let's talk about listing of network data with entities outside India. So it says that the authorized representative of the Indian firm, the firm which is in India, the authorized representative of that Indian firm or the member shall file a declaration with ICAI. You should file a declaration with ICAI and form number D of listing for such network within 30 days from date of entering into such network arrangement. So I am an Indian firm and I am entering into network with a foreign company, foreign firm or foreign network. Then I should file a declaration to ICAI within 30 days after entering into the network. And the declaration is in form D. D for declaration and D for form D. Okay. Yes. CAs are permitted to join network with outside entities provided they join only one network. You're allowed to join only one network, and the firms having common partner shall join only one such network. Okay, yes sir, this was the question that was asked, and this was the question that was asked in September 25. Now, if there is any change in constitution of the registered network, like one firm is added in the network or one firm is out of the network, then if there is any entry or exit from the network, then it shall communicate to the ICAI within by filing form number C within 30 days from the date of change in constitution. So C for change and C for constitution, change in constitution. So form A is for approval of the name within 30 days. ICAI will approval 3 months ke liye, for 3 months they will reserve your name. Form B is for registration of the network with the firm. Form C is for change in constitution of the firm, and form D is for declaration to be filed when you are associating with the outside India firm. Okay, outside India network. Okay, now there is now ethical compliance. So it says that if one firm of network is statutory auditor, if one firm of a network is a statutory auditor of the entity, then no one can give section 144 services. Neither my associate entity can give statutory audit section 144 services, nor any of the firms in the network can give section 144 services, because section 144 services says that you cannot give directly or indirectly. So my associate concern cannot also give section 144 services to my audit client, and any of the network firms cannot give section 144 services to my audit client. Okay, yes sir. Now guidelines for ceiling on non-audit fees. So we have discussed that if the limit is 50 lakh rupees, if we have statutory audit fees of 50 lakh rupees, then me, including my associate concern, can only accept the other assignment up till 50 lakh rupees only. Now this limit is increased for your network firms. So for the network firms, the limit is 3 times of your statutory audit fees, which means that if your statutory audit fees is 50 lakh rupees, you and your associate concern can only accept other assignment up to 50 lakh rupees, but your network firms can accept the other assignment from the same audit client up to 1.5 crore rupees. That is 3 times of your statutory audit fees. That is what it is given over here. Okay, yes sir. Next, if we say if rotation of firms is applicable by the law, then your network firms can also not be appointed as an auditor of the same company. So if rotation of auditors is applicable to your firm, then any of your network firms cannot be appointed as auditor of the same company. They will have to go to another network only. Okay, yes sir. Network may advertise itself to the extent it is permitted by the advertisement guidelines, and the firms which are constituting the network can use the word network firms on their professional stationery. So if I am part of a network, I can use the word network firms on my professional stationery, on my visiting card, letterboard and everything. Okay, yes sir. Next, consent of the client. If we are registering the network with the ICAI, it will be deemed to be public notice of the network, and therefore consent of client will be deemed to be obtained and will not be required expressly. So basically, suppose I am serving a client, I am doing audit of a client, and I am registering myself under a network, it will be deemed to be public notice. It will be deemed to be a public notice. So I will not have to take a consent of the client, express consent of the client that the client is allowing me to be part of the network. I don't have to take any consent from the client. It will be deemed to be public notice, and the client and the consent of the client will be deemed to have been taken. Okay, yes sir. Now there are framework of internal bylaws of the network. These are Nothing but what are the internal bylaws of the framework. We have to decide how the management appointing of management committee will be there from managing partners of the member firms, minimum and maximum number of members of managing committee, like what will be there, administration of network who will do, contribution of membership fees to meet the cost, identifying the partner to member firm to be responsible for assignment, and dispute settlement. What will be the dispute settlement procedures, how we will develop training materials for members of the network, what are the issue of newsletters for staff and clients, the development of software for different types of assignment, the development and maintenance of databases, library, and anything and everything. How we will done, we will maintain a bylaw of that, basically the framework of that, so that we will get to know how all these issues will be resolved. Okay, yes sir, these are our guidelines for networking. Next is our chapter number 16, which tells about logo guidelines. So basically it says that logo consists, this is our correct logo, CA India. Logo consists the letter ECA with tricolored tick mark upside down with white background. This is in white background. The letters CA have been put in blue, which not only stands on the background, basically white background, in the white background the blue letters are clearly visible, but also denotes creativity, innovativeness, knowledge, integrity, trust, truth, stability, and depth. Second, the upside down tick mark typically used by CA symbolize wisdom and value of the professional. It shows that we have a value of a professional. Upside tick mark, I say, like this. Okay, yes sir. Next, India word that is used as the logo is epitomizes institute's connection to India first approach and commitment to serve Indian economy and public interest. And lastly, we have to use the logo as it is. We cannot change the design, font, spacing, dimensions, colors, and we should not rotate or tilt the logo. So basically we cannot do anything, we have to use the logo as it is. Okay, yes sir. And the transition time of 1 year has been provided to use to replace the existing stationery and the sign replacement. So basically we were using existing logos, so for using the new logo 1 year transition time is also provided. Okay, yes sir. Next we have last chapter, that is chapter number 17, guidelines for corporate form of practice. This is also an important chapter which says that sir, CA in practice are allowed to hold office of MDWTD. So basically previously it was not allowed. Clause number 11 part 1 first schedule, that we cannot enter into another business. It was not allowed to be an MDWTD of a company, but here they are allowing an MDWTD of a company. They are saying that CA in practice are allowed to hold MDWTD or being a manager of a company while retaining full-time COP. You can also retain full-time certificate of practice of a corporate, provided that the company is engaged exclusively in management consultancy and other services. If the company is engaged exclusively in MCS, then we can be the MDWTD manager of the same company, and we can also hold a COP, we can also train article assistants, and we can also do all the attestation functions, which is there. There is no restriction from, we can hold all the equity of that particular company, and we can still be the MDWTD of that particular company. So there is no restriction on quantum of holding of the equity members, either individually, we can hold with the relatives as well. Such members which are at the MDWTD of the MCS are regarded as full-time practice and can continue to do a test function either in individual capacity, or they can open their proprietorship or partnership, or they can also train the article assistants as well. But remember, the name of the management consultancy company should be approved by the ICAI, and company has to be registered with the ICAI. Okay, yes sir. Chaliye. Next is ethical compliance. So basically the thing is same. When I am giving audit services to a client, neither me nor my associate concerned, nor any of the firm in my network, nor my management consultancy services company, no one can give section 144 services to my audit client. The thing is same. Secondly, the ceiling on non-audit fees is applicable for MCS as well, which means essentially that 50 lakh, suppose I am receiving 50 lakh from statutory audit, then if the other assignment is being done by me or my associate concern or my MCS, all the other assignment put together should not exceed 50 lakh rupees, basically should not exceed the fees that I am receiving from statutory audit. So here we will count 3 entities, me, my associate concern, and my MCS. And for all my other listed networks, what is the limit, sir? It is 3x of the statutory audit fees. Okay, yes sir. And lastly, such company shall give an undertaking that it complies with clause number 6 and 7, that was about advertisement and solicitation, and it shall render only MCS for services. So suppose I am rendering statutory audit services as well, then will the company be called as an exclusively engaged rendering in services of MCS? No sir, because statutory audit is not covered in MCS. That's what I was saying you about when I was discussing MCS. I told you we will discuss this later. Where is this? We have come, so here here it says MCS does not include these services. So suppose a company is giving these services and these services as well, then the company will not be called as a company exclusively engaged in MCS, because these services are not MCS. Okay, yes sir, this is a very small point that will help you if ICAI asks any question like this. Okay, yes sir, these were all the guidelines that ICAI has released. I hope you were able to understand it. Now we will discuss about recommended self-regulatory measures. First of all, these are only recommendatory. If the CA is not following this, obviously there is no penalty for this, but it is recommended in good faith that you follow all this. First of all, talks about branch audit. Branch audit says that the branch audit should not be conducted by statutory auditors which have 10 or more members, which means which have 10 or more partners, but by local firms which has less than 10 members. If a firm has less than 10 members, then it can conduct a branch audit. This taxation shall not apply in two cases. First of all, where the accounting records of branches are maintained at the head office. If the accounting records are maintained at the head office, then why we need to appoint any branch auditor? Or where the significant operations of company are carried out at its branch office, then we cannot appoint small auditors. We have to appoint big auditors for conducting the audit at the branches. Okay, yes sir. Next, joint audit. In case of large company, the associating firm with less than the 5 members shall be accepted as a joint auditor, so that obviously we can improve the quality of the services of that small firm. The firm having less than 5 members should be accepted as joint auditor, and if the client desires to appoint such firm as a joint auditor, senior firm should not object the same. Okay, yes ratio between qualified and unqualified staff. It says that the firm who is engaged in audit should have at least 1 member for every 5 non-qualified members. So 1 CA should be there for 5 non-CA staff that you have in your CA firm. In this non-qualified members, you have to exclude article assistants, typists, peon, or any other person who has not directly engaged in professional work. Kamali Bai, you will not include your housemaid in your non-qualified members, obviously. And article assistants are also not included in this non-qualified members limit. Okay, yes sir. Next, disclosure of interest by auditors in other firms. So suppose auditors shall make disclosure of all the payments that are received by them for other services through medium of different firms in which the said auditor may be either partner or member proprietor. So basically, I am giving you audit services, and from your company, I am giving other types of services from my other different firms, and I am receiving fees from other different firms. So I will have to disclose in my auditor's report like what all firms I am partner in who are receiving fees from that particular same audit client. I have to disclose in my auditor's report. Okay, yes sir. Next is recommended minimum scale of fees, relative size. So basically there is a recommended minimum scale of fees by ICAI. It is recommended to follow. If you are not following, you will not be held guilty of professional misconduct. Next is relative size. It says that so there are 2 types of companies. One is non-public interest entities, in which public do not have any interest, and other one is public interest entities like a listed company, bank, insurance company, in which public have interest. And non-public interest entities means unlisted and private company. So it says that we have to disclose to ICAI if for 2 consecutive quarters, the gross annual professional fees that we are receiving from an audit client is more than 40% of the total fees of the firm. Suppose my total fees of the firm for 2 consecutive quarters is 100, and I am receiving a fees of 50 rupees from one particular client, and this is more than, so basically my total fees of the firm is, total revenue of the firm is 100, and I am receiving 50 for 2 consecutive years from a particular client. This is more than 40% for 2 consecutive years. Then I will have to inform about this to ICAI. Suppose what if sir, here I received, this was my previous fees, this is my total revenue, and suppose today is my total revenue, this year my total revenue is 100, and this year the fees received by me is 25 rupees. Then the previous year the revenue was, the representation was more than 40%, but here the representation is less than 40%. Do I need to inform to ICAI? No. It should be 2 consecutive quarters only. If it's for 2 consecutive quarters, then only you need to inform to ICAI first of all, and more than 40%. If it's exact 40%, then you don't have to report. Okay, yes sir. For public interest entities, this 40% is reduced to 20% of the total fees. So suppose if it's a public interest entity and this is the revenue structure, This is the revenue structure. This is my total fees. This was previous year. This is current year. And for both the years, the revenue is more than 20%, represents more than 20% of my total fees. Then I will have to inform to ICAI. Okay. Yes, sir. Charging excessive or low fees does not constitute any misconduct. Here, if the total fees of the firm does not exceed 20 lakh rupees, then I will not have to inform ICAI. If my total fees is only 20 lakh rupees, up to 20 lakh rupees, then ICAI doesn't care. ICAI say you are a very small firm. I don't need to talk about you. I don't need to discuss about you. I don't want any data of you. So if your total fees does not exceed 20 lakh rupees, then you don't have to inform to ICAI. And if the client that you are auditing is government company, public undertaking, nationalized bank, public financial institutions, regulators, or where the appointment is made by the government, then you don't have to discuss to ICAI. Then you don't have to disclose to ICAI. These are the two exemptions from above applicability. Okay, if the client is all of this, then you don't have to disclose to ICAI. If your total fees is up to 20 lakh rupees, then you don't have to disclose to ICAI. Okay, yes, sir. Now let's talk about the last topic of our professional ethics. I hope you are finding this revision very effective, very detailed, and very crisp. If you're liking it, please like it so that you mark your attendance, and in the comment drop your name with CA so that you make a manifestation that you are definitely going to clear CA final exams in your attempt. Okay, yes, sir. Let's talk about the recent decisions of Ethical Standard Board. I have categorized the recent Ethical Standard Board decisions into two parts. One is the permitted category. These are everything that is permitted. And one is the not permitted category. These are everything that is not permitted. So let's talk about, first of all, about the permitted category. First of all, it says that there is no prohibition for an internal auditor to purchase shares of the company. Internal auditor can purchase the shares of the company, but wait a second, you cannot purchase material shares of the company. You can purchase 1 to 2 shares of the company, but not material shares, because you also need to be independent of the company that you are auditing. Okay, yes, sir. Secondly, firm may register itself on Udyog Aadhar, a web portal of MSME. We can have a Udyog Aadhar registration. CA in practice can act as an authorized representative of a foreign company, provided he is not an auditor of the same company. We can act as an authorized representative of a foreign company. Remember, this was one of the MCQ in September 25. 2 or more CA in practice are permitted to have joint training session. If 2 or more CA in practice wanted to have a joint training session for their clients on GST and share the fees collected from the client, they can do so. They are permitted. CA in practice can provide services through kiosks only if the professional services are permitted. If the services you are providing is permitted, then you can provide the services through kiosks only. CA in service is allowed to take e-return registration. You are allowed to take e-return registration if it does not conflict with the employment obligation. However, he cannot certify the return. You are just there to filing the return. You cannot certify the return if you are CA in service. Okay, yes, sir. CA in practice can be an equity research advisor. He cannot publish retail report, as it will be other business. You cannot enter into other business, but you can be equity research advisor. You can advise your friends, relative, and other people. It is permitted, but you cannot publish retail report. Next up. There is no conflict of interest. If you are a member of a trust, then you can be the auditor of the said trust. But if you are a trustee or the employee of the trust, then you cannot be the auditor of the said trust. Okay, yes, sir. CA in practice can be registration authority for obtaining digital signatures for certificates of the client. Yeah, this is also allowed. If you are holding a credit card of the bank, and if you are an auditor of the said bank, then can the card limit be more than 1 lakh? Yes. Can you utilize more than 1 lakh? Yes. But just ensure that on the due date, you are paying the overdue amount. If the overdue amount is more than 1 lakh after the due date, then you are not allowed to be the auditor of the said bank, as we have learned that the indebtedness to the concern should not be more than 1 lakh. Okay. Yes, sir. CA in practice can act as a mediator in court. Yes. CA in practice can be settler of the trust. That is also allowed. CA in service can appear as a tax representative before the tax authorities on behalf of his employer. On behalf of employer, you can appear as a tax representative if you are CA in service, but not on the behalf of other employees of the employer. So basically, for an employer, you can be a tax representative, but other employees, you cannot be a tax representative if you are a CA in service. Okay, yes, sir. CA or CA firm can act as an internal auditor of the company and statutory auditor for his employee provident fund. So if you are an internal auditor of the company and employees provident fund, you can be a statutory auditor. So in this particular case, you can hold internal and external assignments both. Okay, yes, sir. CA in practice can engage in services assessment or performance audit of centers of skill development council of government, as it is permitted under MCS. So basically, this was asked in your recent MTP and RTP January 26. Next, CN practice can accept assignment of mystery audit. You can do mystery audit. CN practice can mention position as promoter or director on portal of the company. However, he cannot mention his professional attainments and firm name. He shall not violate 6 and 7, clause number 6 and 7. CN practice can become professional director in board of management of cooperative bank. Of any cooperative bank, you can be a professional director in the board of management. Secondly, CA can set up practice in IFSC and GIFT City. CA can render professional services to IFSC units from offices outside the IFSC. We can render the professional services. CA in practice can charge fees on percentage. Okay, so here we can charge fees based on percentage of utilization amount of an educational institute. Educational institute utilization amount based on percentage, we can charge fees for certifying the amount utilization spent by the educational institute out of the grant. CA in practice can be non-executive independent director in a cooperative bank, provided he is not involved in any day-to-day activity, nor he or any of his partner are interested in bank as an auditor. So if you are a cooperative bank, if you want to be an independent auditor of the cooperative bank, you should not be auditor of the same cooperative bank. If you want to be the auditor of the KSA cooperative bank, you cannot be the independent director of the same cooperative bank. Okay, yes sir, this was also question asked in your recent MTP RTP. And lastly, CA in practice which is holding COP is permitted to become member of board of management of primary urban cooperative bank. So here there are two things. First of all, you can be professional director in board of management of any cooperative bank, but if you want to be a member of the board of management, then you can only be of primary urban cooperative bank. Okay, yes sir, chaliye. Next, we are discussing about all the things that we are not permitted for CA in practice or maybe for CS generally. CA in practice cannot act as a trademark or patent attorney. Professional advice you can give for intellectual property is a routine professional work for CA in practice and it is permitted. Secondly, CA in practice is not permitted to accept statutory audit of a society wherein immediate family member, that is our spouse or our dependent, is the member holding honorary position of the managing committee. So there is a managing committee in which our spouse or dependent is holding an honorary position, then I cannot accept the audit of that particular society. Okay, CA is not permitted to use messaging application to send messages to make people aware about his practice and mention services provided. We cannot use WhatsApp for promoting our services. Next, CA in practice, if he is being a director simpliciter in the company, he cannot sign ROC forms of the company as it is in direct conflict of the role. You cannot sign ROC forms if you are a director simpliciter in a company. If CA in practice is a non-executive director in a company, he or his firm in which he is a partner should not accept appointment as statutory of the auditor of the company, which is a joint venture of the original company. So I am a director simpliciter of a company, and this company has a joint venture, then I cannot audit the joint venture as well. Okay, yes sir. Next, CA in practice is not permitted to audit bank if he has taken loan against the FD held by him that bank. I am depositing a FD and I have taken a loan against the FD, then I cannot be a statutory auditor of this particular bank. No limit is applicable here. You cannot be. Okay, yes sir. Next, statutory auditor, tax auditor cannot be valuer of unquoted equity shares of same entity where law prohibits the same. So I am the statutory auditor, tax auditor of this company, then I cannot be valuer of unquoted equity shares of the company where law prohibits the same. If the law prohibited, then I cannot be, but if the law permit, then there is no specific restriction by the law. Okay, yes sir. Next thing is CA in practice cannot become financial advisors and receive fees or commission from financial institutions such as mutual funds, insurance companies, NBFCs. I cannot be financial advisor or receive financial fees from financial institutions. CA cannot exercise lien over client records for non-payment of fees. If the client is not paying my fees, I can never exercise this lien. I have to deliver the books back to the client. Okay, yes sir. Next, firm is not permitted to print its vision and values behind his visiting card. We cannot print our vision and values behind our visiting card. CA in practice is not permitted to take agencies of UTI, GIC, NSDL. We cannot take any agency whatsoever. CA in practice cannot hold customs broker license. We cannot be a custom broker. CA, who is a statutory auditor of a bank, cannot accept statutory audit or inspection audit of any branches of the same bank or sister concern of the bank for same financial year. So basically, if we are an external auditor, we cannot handle internal assignments. So we cannot be statutory or inspection audit, take statutory audit or inspection audit of the same bank, also of the sister concern of the bank. So basically, both the banks we cannot take any internal assignments. Okay, yes sir. Firm appointed as internal auditor of the PF trust by the government company cannot be appointed as a statutory auditor. If we are doing internal assignment, that is internal auditor of a PF trust for a government company, then we cannot be a statutory auditor. In above, there was a difference. In above, it was said that if you are an internal auditor of the company, then you can be statutory auditor of employees PF fund. it was not mentioned about government company. Here specifically word government company is mentioned, that if you are an internal auditor or PF of a government company, then you cannot be appointed as a statutory auditor of the same government company. Okay, yes sir. If you are concurrent auditor of a bank X, then you cannot be a statutory auditor of bank Y, which is sponsored by bank X, because both are related. So you cannot hold internal assignment as well as external assignment. Okay, yes sir. Statutory auditor cannot prepare BRSR study to audit clients. You cannot prepare any study for your audit clients. However, you can provide advisory services. Also, you can be the assurance provider of BRSR score for the same client. As you are providing audit assurance, you can provide the assurance for BRSR as well, but you cannot prepare BRSR study for your audit clients. Okay, yes sir. Statutory auditor is not permitted to engage in compilation engagement. Obviously, you cannot compile because it will be a self-review thread. Next, a firm is not permitted to publish its vision on mission statement or letterhead, visiting card. You cannot mention it anywhere. It may be printed. However, it may be printed on firm profile and provided if someone is requesting you to it. Okay, so firm vision and mission values cannot be printed behind visiting cards and cannot be printed against letterhead or stationery, but it can be printed on firm profile. And second last, statutory audit of the bank cannot accept assignment of agency of specialized monitoring of a customer of the same bank simultaneously. He can accept one assignment at one time. So basically, it's the same thing. If you are statutory auditor, means you are external auditor, so you cannot handle internal assignments of the bank. Internal assignments include this agency for specialized monitoring. And lastly, CA in practice cannot be internal auditor and procurement auditor of the simultaneously in the organization. You cannot be both, because if you are procurement officer, you are executory function, and if you are internal auditor, you are reviewing your same function, so it cannot be the same. So you can either be only internal auditor or either be only procurement officer. So this was your professional ethics covered in almost 3 hours and 40 minutes. I hope 3 hours and 30 minutes approx. I hope it was very effective, detailed, and coverage, 100% coverage revision. Every point, every minute points I have tried to cover in this video, and obviously this required so much of effort from my side as well. So please do give your love, give your feedbacks in the comment section. I will be genuinely motivated to see your comments and your positive feedbacks. It really helps me, it really boosts my confidence to provide more videos in English. And please do share it with your friends. It's my humble request, because that will definitely help me to provide you more videos. And obviously, you know, you want a book, you want a obviously batches not launched yet for English, but yes, if you want our books, if you want our handwritten notes, you can definitely subscribe to our Telegram channel, and books can be bought from our website, that is ankushchirimarclasses.com. Okay, yes sir. So we will see you in our next revision video. Just comment down which topic you want next revision video on, so I will try to make that topic revision video as soon as possible. So yes, this time audit will be exemption. You will get exemption in audit. Bas dua mein yaad rakhna. Keep me in your prayers. Thank you. Bye bye.